do it.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast on Saturday night, solo podcast with Jay in the control room.
Yo, what's going
on, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I see we already have a couple super chats. Thank you so much for jumping in the house early, and we'll get to that in a second. You guys are killing it always, and we appreciate it. As always, Saturday night, I'm going to talk about some things. Also going to answer your questions, so hit the super chats hard, and as you guys are hitting them, I'm going to be answering your questions.
Yeah, baby.
But before we get started with that, before we can get to our first super chat, I was thinking, so I reached out to, I don't even know if you know this, Jay. About a year and a half ago, a publishing company had reached out to me called Mango Productions or Publications. And they work with all kinds of, Barnes and Nobles and all kinds of stuff like that.
I think I do remember
They
this.
wanted me to do a book and it just was the wrong time. You know what I mean? I think it was even maybe before I started the Reptarium. So I feel like I always said that the reason why I didn't do the book was I felt there were chapters not written yet. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of chapters that are going to be written over this. But I think now I can kind of start rounding off. But this is going to be the title of the book. You guys ready?
I don't know if I'm ready, but let's hit it.
All right. Well, I think it's going to be something on the lines of 50-year-old, social media star or something like that. So it's got that kind of oh, wait a second. Usually 20-year-olds are social media people.
Right.
But it's going to be called A Bee Doesn't Waste Time Explaining to a Fly That Honey Tastes Better Than Shit.
Oh, damn. That's a heavy book title, bro.
Is that a good book?
Yeah, that's really good, bro.
Is that good or what, man?
Have you heard that saying somewhere before?
I saw it a while ago for the first time. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. I've never, ever before. And I read it, it was on Twitter or something like that. I read it, and I thought, how prophetic. People always talk about how, whatever, you don't talk down, people on the top don't talk, about people on the bottom. And that kind of sums it up, right?
Yep.
A bee doesn't explain to a fly that honey tastes better than shit.
Yeah, that fly always thinks that shit tastes great.
Shit tastes great, but the fact is he don't realize
he don't know what the honey tastes like.
Honey's way better,
So
I did email those guys. I have not heard back because I just emailed them today, and it's obviously Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see if they get back to me. But I think I'm ready to start writing a book.
I think that'd be awesome, man. I'd love to see how that comes out, and just that whole process too. I don't even know what that's like. I'm sure it's very interesting. And
I remember talking to him. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a lot of challenges, but I remember talking to him about the fact that they were going to have editors working with me on the whole thing. And even though I'd be writing the script, they would obviously be massaging
format it to a good book. Yeah.
But
wow, that's awesome.
But I just kind of feel like, talking about the story, this is what I was thinking. I don't want to give away anymore. That's okay. Enough. I've already got the opening chapter written.
Don't give them away. They need to be.
So pre-order on BrianBarczyk.com. No, I do actually have BrianBarczyk.com.
Dude, I wouldn't doubt it.
But I don't have nothing.
You wouldn't be. How mad would you be if somebody else had
BrianBarczyk.com? Yeah, that would be, especially with my domain. Insanity.
Insane domain.
Insane in the dominion.
Yeah, dude.
All right, Silver Cash. What's up?
So Silver Cash. He's stuck at work again. He's working too much. He's overworked.
He's overworking, man.
Yeah, and he says, spring break is out. I'll watch when I get off tonight. Have an awesome podcast and enjoy y'all night.
Thank you for your support.
Even
though you're not going to be here, Silver Cash, thank you for your support and being the first super chat tonight. We do appreciate you as always, and I hope you make those pizzas good. One day I got to, make sure. I want to see what kind of pizza this guy makes. Does he make the fire?
And I would love to know where he's from, right? Because there's certain pizza capitals of the world. We're in one right now. Michigan's one, there's Chicago and then New York, New Jersey, Philly. And I'd love to, I think we need to go and taste test his pizzas.
Yeah, what's your pizza like?
Yeah. Jerica Potterhead, one of our mods, she says, hey, Brian and Jay. Brian, I want to know, how are you?
Whew. That's such a deep, it's such a deep question.
Yeah, dude.
How am I? How
are you?
I had an interesting week.
To say the least, yeah.
Unfortunately, I weirdly enough, we just put a video out yesterday saying that I kept a secret from you, and and now I'm keeping another secret from you.
My bad.
Oops. There's a lot of secrets I keep, not because I want to, just because of timing and because of the way things work. You can't let certain things out of the bag. But let me just tell you, and I'm going to be vague with what this is, and this the reason I'm saying this is this will tell you why I feel a little exhausted it was a bit of an anxious week for some things. So you guys know I don't take much time off, hardly ever off, and we're going to take this Tuesday off. Now that means that we have to vlog ahead 2 vlogs so that we can take a day off and not still vlog and all this stuff. So when we do take a day off or decide to take a day off, it's a lot of work, leading up to it, because you have to double your work.
You have to do double work for one day to have that day off.
Yeah. So, but it's worth it because you can just chill out. And so definitely, I think we all needed a day off. We were all pretty tired, and this last few weeks has been a pretty hectic push. So literally, I work all day. I get home at like 9 o'clock Monday night, and I'm just like so happy that I tell
weekend's
Lori,
done. We're done feeding.
Yeah. I told Lori, I said, man, I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm gonna launch the vlog. I'm gonna sit in my PJs. I'm gonna answer comments. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna like watch some movies. I'm not gonna do any business. I'm not taking any calls. I'm super, super excited about it. So I get a call from a friend of mine, and again, I'm like I'm not answering the phone to anybody. So they call back a couple times. Finally, a text message says, like 911 emergency, call me. And I'm like, oh great. Now it's like 9:30, right? It's like 9:30. I jump on the call, and long story short, there's this YouTuber. I'm not going to mention his name. A YouTuber that I have a tremendous amount of admiration for. Not an animal YouTuber, big name, right? Like the number one collab that I can do in my eyes. Number one. If you said, Brian, you can collab with anyone, this would be the guy. Somehow my friend got a collab with him to do some snake stuff, which is crazy, because the guy had never done anything with snakes before, and he gets this collab, and it's a pretty big production, big YouTuber, so you have to get COVID tested before you're on set. So these guys went there with the snakes and got everything ready. They get COVID tested, test positive. So the 911 was, oh shit, we have to find somebody to take over this shoot. And immediately. So I get this call at 9:30, and they say, hey, would you like to, film with blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, hell yeah, that's like my number one collab. Yeah, that's a crazy thing, yeah. And I haven't collabed at all in 2020. We didn't do any collabs at all. And of course, we built a lot of our following on collabs early on. So in a way, it was really good. 2020, we carried without collabs, which was pretty cool. So anyways, the problem is now it's like 10 o'clock at night by the time that we've got, exchange calls and this and that, 10 o'clock at night. And I have to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning for a 13-hour drive. And I can't bring anyone with me because of COVID protocols and all this other stuff. So I ended up, literally hardly sleeping. I mean, I literally slept like 1 hour that night because I was stressing out. I drove 13 hours. We got COVID tested. Thankfully, came back negative. That would have been a bitch, wouldn't it? If I would have been all the way there and been like, oh, guess what?
That's what we were talking about too. We're like, oh my God, could you imagine that?
I mean, geez. And I'll be totally honest with you. My allergies have been bothering me lately.
Yeah, allergies is hitting hard.
So right I'm like my mind the whole way down is like, oh, I'm like,
do I have it?
Am I going to test positive? And so anyways, we end up, shooting the next day, do the collab. It went fantastic. Really, really great. I feel terrible for my friends that couldn't be involved in it. They had to literally sit in an Airbnb while we were doing everything. And then I geared up and drove home 13 hours and got back here Thursday. So yeah, it was a tough week. So how am I? I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
It was pretty anxious. You can imagine my anxiety's been up and down lately. Not as bad as it was before, but still not great. And to go out on a long journey by myself into a very uncomfortable environment where, you perform, this is going to be really good for you. You don't perform well, and you've just wasted your time. Yeah. So there was a lot of pressure. So, so I'm back. I can't say anything more about that other than the fact that it'll be about a month from now, and you guys are going to be
very surprised. And one thing, too, I'm going to interject real quick, and that is that I'm so proud of you for doing it.
Oh, thank you, man.
I know, obviously, I wish I could have been there with you the whole time.
Well, yeah, I called Jay up immediately before we even, basically what happened was I called Jay and I said, hey, can we, you
do this?
Want to go? Yeah. Let's do this. And you, of course, said, yeah, let's go. And then I get a call back from the producer saying, insurance says you can't go with anyone. You got to be solo. You cannot be around anybody. And
that's the thing is, like, I just want to say, like, how proud I am. And I'm sure everyone in the comments, is proud of you too for, pushing against the brain, right? The brain said, really hey, hard. Don't go. It's going to be bad. You're going to be anxious. You're going to have a bad time. Yeah. And you went and you made it. And I'm proud of you for that.
Well,
man,
thank
really.
you. And that is, I mean, again, that is, I told I told you on the way back when I called you that I think it was the top 10 hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Just to be, recovering from anxiety like I am, I've traveled a couple times recently, but it's still been, a little bit, but I've had, Jay or Noah or Lori with me. To be alone, it was
this is an independence test for sure.
It was a wild thing. And to be going into what you consider the number one YouTube collab that you can possibly do, it was wild. And but it went great. Had a great time, made some great connections, and can't wait to share with you guys, but that's going to be a little while. Simple
Man says, hey, Brian and Jay, hope you're having a great night. Can't wait till you hit that 3 milli mark. You're so close.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting because we slowed down exponentially about a month ago. And just so you guys know, I mean, not that I get too tied up in numbers. As a matter of fact, sometimes I don't even look at the numbers for days. But I have to have a general idea of what's going on. And we typically get about 1,000 subscribers a day. That's our average. And then we get bumps, right? Where sometimes we'll get 10,000 subscribers in a couple days. Sometimes we'll get 2,000, whatever the case may be. But for whatever reason, about a month and a half ago, we dropped down to like 200 subs a day. Now, I mean, I know some people are like, that have a channel that only has 200 subs.
Yeah,
like, I can't believe you're crying about having 200 subs a day.
That's not the point.
But we had never really, I can't remember the last time we had dropped down. And it was like a 2.5 weeks stretch of 200 to 250 subs a day. And it was really kind of freaking me out, and we did a video about, is this the end of my YouTube career, whatever the case is. Well, weirdly enough, in the last couple, week and a half, we went back to 1,000 to 1,500. And the last 4 or 5 days, we've been doing 2,500 subs a day. And we're right now, as of right now, we're 8,000 subs away from 3 million. So I don't know if we're going to keep up this 2,500 mark for the next, but if we did in the next 3-4 days, we would hit 3 million. If we slow down, it's going to happen eventually. I mean, probably sometime in the next couple weeks anyways, but it is interesting to see the dynamics of that.
For sure. Clistia says, hello, Brian and Jay. I will be there in June.
Ah, sweet.
We're out of town.
Yeah, sorry. We're going to be gone all of June.
Sorry.
Sorry, we're not here. We're
awesome.
We're closed down all June.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be great. June is great. We'll have a great time. I think that
great month to be in Michigan too, man.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful month in Michigan. It's warm but not too warm. Typically not a lot of rain, usually pretty sunny, pretty nice up here at that time. And I would like to think that, the world will feel a lot different in June.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
I hope.
Jose says, have a great one, guys. We love you, man.
Thank you, Jose. I appreciate you, man.
Our buddy, brother Clint, in the house says,
hey,
hello, friends. I saw first reptiles of the season today while fishing.
Nice.
Painted turtles were awake and hungry.
Yep.
Be back in Detroit area in 6 to 8 weeks. We should podcast again. Any topic. Peace, love, miss ya.
Yeah, when you're up here, reach out. You've got my number. Text me. Let's do it. Let's podcast when you're up here for sure. Whatever day you're up here, we'll podcast that day.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
And I think that like I've said this many times, that the most requested return guest has been you. So people love to hear what you have to say, and I'm sure we could have lots more to talk about. And you could see our new podcast room where you're not.
I know. I forgot.
Not tripping over wires to get into the room. So and it's almost done. The podcast room's done, obviously, in control.
6 to 8 weeks. I'm sure everything will be done.
Oh yeah, it'll be 100% done. I mean, the green room is all but done.
Yeah.
There's a couple minor little things, it's the TriCaster, obviously, and stuff like that. So I think we're literally, we could start doing VIPs almost immediately. You know, it's just now a matter of when do we want to pull the trigger and actually commit to doing a VIP night. So so hopefully that'll happen very shortly.
Let Roses Burn. Oh my God, I just came in. You're writing a book, driving home but listening in my car.
Well, I'm not writing a book yet. And by the way, hello, Let Roses Burn. I hope to be writing a book. It's always been, I'll be honest with you, when I look at accomplishments in my life, like the dream things to do, writing a book has always been one of them.
And it's the one that you haven't done yet. A lot of them I feel like you've ticked off the box on a lot.
I've ticked a tremendous amount of my bucket list things to get done professionally. I've ticked a lot of them off.
Yeah, like doing TV, doing successful on YouTube, having a zoo, like all that stuff.
And it doesn't mean that you don't want to do more and you don't want to do better, But the one thing that I haven't ever been published, I've written a lot of articles for magazines. As a matter of fact, I think one year, not to toot my own horn, but I think one year I had 5 of the 6 reptile magazines. I had the cover.
Right, I remember
story
you told me this.
of 5 of the 6 reptile magazines that year. So I've done dozens and dozens of articles in magazines, but I've never been a published author from a book standpoint. And I've got a lot of great, no, I shouldn't say great ideas because they may suck, but to me, they seem like good ideas for a book. So yeah, hopefully the production company or the publishing company will get back to me and say yes, because I didn't blow them off, but I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then I kind of was like, nah, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Don't have the time right now.
I don't have time, wrong time, can't do it. And I hope that they aren't bitter at me. There's there's millions, hundreds, thousands of publishing companies.
Well, you already had connection.
But yeah, I thought, so if this one doesn't get back to me, I'll probably reach out to one of my agents, UTA in California. And I'm sure they work with the biggest, celebrities in the world. So I'm sure they have publishing companies that would be more than willing to at least talk with me so that's yes,
exciting for the future.
Book potentially coming your way. I'm sure Lori's going to be thrilled.
Oh, dude, already can hear it.
Yeah.
Martin is exotic says, wish we had Hungry Howie's in Indy.
Oh, you don't have Hungry Howie's.
That's crazy, but it's a good one.
And why did it does?
I don't know what that had to do with it.
Did that have to be Simple Cash? Maybe works at Hungry Howie's or something, or is that?
I mean, we were talking about pizza. That's the only thing I can think of.
Pizza, so yeah, they must. I don't know. It's interesting.
But I wish you did too.
Yeah, they're good.
I wish we had Wawa's here, so it's all.
Oh yeah, there you
go. Jimmy says, hey, Bri, could you shout me out and tell some people to show some love for my channel? I'll be heading to Florida in a week.
Well, Jimmy, I always tell people that, I appreciate, but I can't do shout outs like that other than just saying hey to you right now. Obviously for a number of reasons, number one, I get
the whole
asked,
podcast would be
I get asked 1,000 times for shout outs a day and not 1,000, but literally dozens of times a day I get asked for shout outs. If I didn't do if I did all of them, that's all my content would ever be. The other thing, quite honestly, just from purely a business standpoint, is that, we get paid really good money to shout companies out. So it'd be unfair to our sponsors to shout people out for free. It doesn't make any sense. It's from a business standpoint, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't work hard, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep going. It's just that, we didn't build our following by shout outs by other people. We built it through hard work and some collaborations were shout outs, but that meant we worked hard to collaborate. So we were delivering them some value for them to shout us out. It wasn't just like hey, can you shout me out? It's like hey, I'm going to deliver all of this great content for you, and in return you can shout me out, and that's how it
But we
works.
wish you the best.
But
and
I
just
do wish
crushing.
you the best. Yeah, and I keep wishing. Yeah, I hope you do well.
Kristen says, hey guys, bought a ball python from you. My son and I, for my son and I, he started to cry when I told him, can't wait for it to arrive Wednesday.
Oh, that's awesome. So you haven't got it yet. That's
I'm so excited
cool
for you guys.
Yeah, and the weather looks good for shipping. It doesn't look like any major delays up, so things are looking good because there's been a little bit of a rocky couple weeks for shipping. Things seem to be smoothed out by now, so we're really excited about you. And obviously, like I tell everyone, if you have any issues, reach out to us. We're always happy to answer questions, and I can't wait to hear how you and your son do.
Tyler King, that's our boy.
That's our boy, man.
He said, Jay, check your DMs. I sent a pic of my new scrubby and my new tat.
I saw his tat.
What did he get?
It was a neck tat.
No,
and it was pretty dope, man. It was really dope. You'll see it. It's strong. It's bold.
Damn, that's my boy, man. That's awesome.
It's a good one, bro. Across his whole neck.
I'll keep looking for
his
it.
His neck.
Maria says, you can thank that stimulus for this. Got me some merch today, Raycons, and a few coloring books. Love you all. Hope everyone's having a good week.
Maria, thank you.
Yo,
and
you're
super
gonna be hyped.
chat, man. Look at you.
You're crushing it.
That's stimmy season, man, baby. I love stimmy season.
It's the best.
Of course, I don't get stimulus, but that's okay. I don't want stimulus, but I appreciate that everyone else that needs it gets it, because I think it's a time in the country where we obviously need to get through this next little hurdle, and hopefully life will start to look a lot more normal here shortly, and then we can start making money and doing things again like normal people. Settle huddled in the corner of our houses in our
like
pajamas.
Schmeagle.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not leaving the house.
Please, mister. Get me out of here.
Not leaving the house.
Oh, another one. Luna says, I got my coloring book. It's amazing, and I'm planning on, if you're making more, to color them all and bring them with me one day to the Reptarium.
I really would love to see. Please send me pictures and we will tag me in them in Instagram, whatever the case is, and we'll regram them. What people, it's really weird. We've sold a lot of coloring books, right?
Right.
And the response has been really amazing. Obviously, our friends that did it. Just slam dunk, unbelievable work. I would love to do a volume 2.
You have to,
but we're kind of. I don't know. I hope they would like to do that. It's obviously a tremendous amount of work, and we'll have to talk to them about commissioning them to do a volume 2. But we're also in the midst of working on another pretty big project with them. So I don't know, but we'll probably, I think for the next, 6 months, we'll probably stick with volume 1.
Yeah.
And then maybe 6 months from
now. They can start working on it slowly over that time.
Yeah.
Too,
I would love to do volume 2 though, because I seriously think it's one of the coolest things and we didn't do it, we got surprised by somebody that's just super talented that did it for us. Which shocked the hell out of me. I mean, it wasn't like, usually these types of projects I'm involved in the creative from, day one through the end.
Yeah.
This one was just like a surprise, like, hey, guess what? We did this for you. And I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And it was originally just like, hey, we did this and we're going to send you some. And then I was like, well, if you're going to send it, let's sell these because these are too great to just have us have them, And so hopefully volume 2 will come out and then maybe volume 1 one day be collector's item or something.
That's what I think too. And like all the covers have like a slightly different color. Like this one's kind of red based. Maybe the next one has like a blue theme. And just like to see somebody come in with like red, blue, green, yellow. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
Rare Dog says, "Oh my God, my apologies. I'm late for the Saturday podcast. Please forgive me. Next stop, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Have an amazing weekend."
Well, listen.
Don't let it happen again.
Yeah. If you ever late again, we're not doing
it. We'll shut this bitch down.
We'll shut it down. No, thank you so much. And Grand Rapids. I'm looking forward to spending some time there this summer as well. It's a beautiful place, man.
Maria says Jasco and Chris are going to Michigan soon. It would be cool to get them on the podcast. You should also do what is this? Randonautica collab video with them.
Yeah.
Please?
So I know this Jasco and Chris, but I can't place what they're obviously a rep or a YouTubers, right? Let's just look them up really quick. Jasco and Chris, YouTube. I'm trying to think what they are. Jasco and Chris. I know these names. I can't believe I don't know who they are.
I gotta see like what video. I mean, it just seems like
when you look at the YouTube.
So Randonautica, what is that? What is Randonautica? Because that's what I see a lot.
Let's look at what that is.
It sounds like something random
Do
with the ocean.
Do not go Randonautica. They will.
So it's an app.
It's an app.
Break the matrix.
So it's like, is it like an anti-matrix thing?
Randonautica.
Let's see.
It's the first ever quantumly generated adventure game that takes you on a journey of true randomness. I have heard about these before.
Huh.
Weird that they're using the owl, but that's interesting. The adventure is yours to have, and the legend will be yours to tell. Welcome future randonauts.
Interesting.
Huh. So I'm guessing it's similar to like a geocache type thing, but it's a geocache adventure or something.
Yeah, interesting.
Weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you happen to have any connection with them, I would be happy to have them on the podcast and learn more about that thing. Like I said, something I didn't know that much about, but I knew it was at least in my head.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Creme de la Clutch says,
Creme de la Clutch.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, man?
Brian, that's why you're the man, dude. You never stay in your comfort zone. Have you tried the hemp out yet? ? If so, which species? So
you're right. I try to push my comfort zone as much as I can, and a lot of times that's why I live in my life in an uncomfortable state. I'm trying to maybe find that symbiosis a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I'm maybe there's a saying that says become comfortable with the uncomfortable, and that's what I'm trying to do. But it's not easy. It's not easy.
Right.
There's a lot of things I'm going to do. As far as the hemp, it is sitting in my office still. I have not tried it. I will, though. I promise I will. I'm very intrigued by it. Looks like it's really something cool. So I will not only try it, but I will give a review on it once I'm done trying it. What do you think we should use that on, Jay?
It's an interesting question, right? I mean, So hemp is obviously like it's antimicrobial, antifungal, but it holds a lot of moisture, if I'm not mistaken, too. So maybe something like that needs a lot of humidity could be something cool.
I'll think about it some.
We'll have to think of what would be good for it, just to maybe just to give it a shot for a few weeks and see what it's
I would
like
to check it out for sure. Yeah.
James Smith says, my favorite podcast in the world. I love you guys. So much. Jay, what were you doing before you started working with Brian, and what was the worst job you've had?
Oh, that's a good one.
Damn, good questions, man. Before I met Brian, I was selling DirecTV at Walmarts across the Orlando area. So super fun. And I mean, I liked a lot of my jobs, so I didn't really have, but I would say that was probably the worst. And it was only because the shoes I had to wear fucked my feet up, dude, so bad. And besides that, I mean, I even working Little Caesars or something, I always had fun. Because I always looked at it as like, just try to be the best at whatever you're doing right now. Doesn't matter if it's flipping pizzas or filming, you know? And so now I'm here, and that's the best job I've had. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Look at that. What a come up. V-Dog says, what will YouTube do for you when you get 3 million subs? Hope it's the diamond play button.
No, unfortunately, it is a bummer. There's this really weird discrepancy or I don't know.
I know. It's just like a big gap.
From 1 million, you get the gold play, and you don't get anything else till 10 million.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. And, when you're talking about, I mean, don't get me wrong. 3 million is a place I never thought we would get. 10 million seems unobtainable, but I think that what has to happen is there has to be a new iteration of what I'm doing to get to 10 million.
Right.
I think that we can't get to, it's not that we can't get to 10 million. It's that it would take so long. I mean, it would probably take at least another 8 or 9 years at the pace that we go now to maybe get to 10 million if we were continuing on the path. And my gut feeling would be if we continued on the path we're going now, we would slow down the growth, not speed up the growth. So there has to be a new iteration of what we do.
Similar like how you grew with Snake Bites to 800K and then boom, vlog grew much more.
Right, exactly. And so I think that that's something that Jay and I have talked a lot about.
Yeah, literally when I first met you, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, and I think that we have to, we're in the process of playing with some different formats that you guys already are experiencing a little bit, some of the formats that we've kind of played around with, including more, a little bit more fun, a little bit more crew, a little bit more Lori, a little bit more Noah, a little bit more kind of fly on the wall type of filming that kind of weaves in and out of the story that we're telling. And I think you're about to, in the next few days, see even a different iteration of what we're doing. I still don't know that that's the answer to get to 10 million. To be honest with you, I think the answer to get to 10 million has
to be a bit more radical.
Will be a more radical change.
I agree.
What that is, I don't know yet. I really don't. I'm it could be a number of things. I think that. So the thing that's interesting, guys, is that when I look at where we're at, and I always try to talk about like, I'm beyond thankful and grateful and humbled and everything thing you could possibly say, but I also think that with the right push, with the right luck, with the right, formula, we could reach 10 times the people that we're reaching now.
I agree.
The question is that how do you get there, and I don't know exactly what the answer is. I have some theories, and I have some ideas, but those ideas or theories are just theories and ideas until we try them out. And right now I'm not ready to try too much out. So you're going to see some changes within the vlog that will hopefully make it feel more lively and maybe retain audiences for a longer period of time and potentially even cause people to want to watch more. But at the same time, I think that at some point, I don't know when that point is, if that's 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you're going to see we're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
We're going to go in a different direction. And I'm hoping that next direction is listen, I'll give you guys a little bit of business advice, is that you should always be learning all the time, right? You should always be willing to change all the time. And you should always look for guidance with people that are extremely successful in the medium that you want to be successful in, right? So it would be asinine for you to start a YouTube channel and then your idol is someone that has 300 subs, right? Because you'd be like, well,
I'm going to pass you in a month.
Well,
yeah.
or the best you can do is get to 300 subs, because if the person if your mentor has 300 subs, chances are you're probably not going to surpass your mentor. And if you do, it's not going to be exponentially better. So I told people all the time, I wasn't successful on YouTube until I started listening to 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, right? And so now I'm spending a tremendous amount of time looking at the most successful people on YouTube, not reptile people, because I've never looked towards reptile people for inspiration when it came to social media. Not that I shouldn't say that. I that sounded very harsh. I think the vast majority of reptile people do social media for reptile content and not beyond reptile content, which is completely fine. But I've always wanted to transcend that and reach a new audience, right? Because I think the new audience brings new people into the reptile hobby, which grows the reptile hobby. And that is, to me, is the key to the future of the hobby, is continued growth, not stagnation.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that says, you should never preach to the choir, right? And I think the reptile hobby has a tendency of preaching to the choir. You know, like, oh my gosh, I want to just bitch to people that feel the exact same way that I do.
Yeah.
I want to reach people that don't feel like I do and make them start feeling like I do. Right. And the only way to do that is to reach people. And to reach people, you have to really model your success or your path on a path that is usually outside your genre. And so that's what we're really looking at now. And so hopefully we'll see what happens. I mean, right now we're staying the course, but we're also changing the format a bunch.
Smart enough to realize what's going on. You know?
And so hopefully, and hopefully that magical, that change will come and we'll know what we're doing down the road. But right now, I'm not sure about it.
Dylan says, Brian, longtime fan, been watching you since 2012. How's the Komodo search going? I'm surprised Nerd hasn't already cracked that code.
Well, to be honest with you, a couple things. Number one, it's going to be a journey, and it's going to eventually either be successful or not. I think Nerd has a lot less likelihood of cracking that code, to be totally honest with you. I think that a zoo is much more likely, even if it is a private zoo, much more likely to get a Komodo than a private breeder, okay? Yeah. Because the one thing I know for sure is that they will not want anyone to breed a Komodo Dragon in the private sector, okay? So I love Kevin. I love Nerd. I think they're some of my favorite people on the planet, but I don't think that there's any chance Kevin will ever have a Komodo Dragon as long as he is just a breeder. Yeah. The only chance he would ever have would be the same chance that I have as some sort of a zoo facility that hopefully will one day have some sort of accreditation. And that's where we're going now is looking at accreditations for our zoo, so that we're not just a private zoo, but we're actually an accredited private zoo. And then I think that the opportunity to potentially get a Komodo will be much greater.
Mac Lorenzo, our boy, our friend, he threw $5 for love.
What's up, Mac? What's going on, dude?
Dude, he's been sending me pictures of his scrubby enclosure. He's got all hooked up with cameras and stuff. He watches them while he's chilling. Wow, it's pretty cool.
Does he do it naked or
always naked? I mean, I only see left nipple and shoulder, and then it's the camera in the background. But
okay, I see. Yeah, I know. I've heard that stuff about Mac.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, D pics all day long.
D pics all day long. Yeah. Streamlined chest.
Yeah.
No fur.
No fur.
No fur, dude.
He's shaving that.
He's the no fur chauffeur. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh,
dude?
wow, Mac.
I know. You learn something new about Mac every week on this show.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing, Mac.
Rare Dog says, "Oh my God, what? You're writing a book? That's what I get for being 15 minutes late. Crazy exciting."
Yeah, I mean, again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I've sent an email off to someone that I might want to write a book.
Yeah, but we know you, dude. When you get that idea in your head, you'll do it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said. If you really think about a book that is a mashup of, animal adventures, social media, doing people. I don't think people understand.
I know.
What doing social media for a living is. It's a very different life than
probably
what
imagine.
anyone could probably. Yeah, I mean, you look at Charlie D'Amelio or David Dobrik or you name the social media star, and you think they live this life. Well, I've worked with these people and spent a lot of time hanging out as the productions are going on and stuff. I can tell you that it isn't as fun as you think it is, right?
Yep.
It's funny. I remember one time sitting around the vlog squad, David Dobrik, Jason Nash, Toddy and all the guys. And literally, I think we were together for about 3 hours before we started filming some stuff. And I would say in that 3 hours, very few words were ever said to one another unless they were shooting an Insta story.
Yep.
So, I mean, you'd look around the room and every single person was just looking at their phone, going through their feed, making this. And then every now and then, someone would pop up and be like, hey, David, look at this. And then it'd be like immediately David's response would be, oh my gosh, blah, blah. And it was like this. And I'm not saying they're acting because they're doing a job, you know what I mean? And it's the same with us, I mean, we obviously I always say there's the vlog Brian, there's the podcast Brian is the closest
to real
Brian.
I mean, yeah, I'd say you're 99.9% authentic.
Yeah. I mean, the only time I may not swear as much on the podcast as I do in person, but I think it's interesting to write something maybe about that. About social media, about reptiles, the journey, the animal adventures I've had, but also with this through line of business, I mean, like to go from very,
rags to riches.
Yeah. I mean, literally literally like a poor family, to having, a lot of wealth. It's an interesting story, and to be able to get there, in a weird world, and there was no one path to get there, and there was no one helping me. I'd never have had a partner. I've never had anyone that's injected money into my business. I've never had any of that. So I've learned along the way. So I think that there's, kind of those three, it may be even a 4-through story where, you're in it with your family, your family's a part of every step of your way. So, I mean, can you imagine anyone that's listening, whether you're a woman or a man, to spend 30 years working with your significant other? I mean, that is crazy. You know what I mean? It's like 30 years, and
it's huge.
It's a different world that we live. So I think that there's some interesting stories, and I think that if it's put together the right way, it could be, again, this is the thing for me, guys. I keep saying this, but we need to transcend I don't want to write a book about snakes. I don't want to write a book that the reptile community wants to buy. I want to write a book that John Smith, that has no idea anything about reptiles, wants to read. Right. Because
reptiles just a part of it. It's the similar with this podcast.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've talked about that too.
Exactly. Yes.
Seth says, hey, Brian and Jay, what do you guys use to trade cryptocurrency? Much love.
I don't trade crypto.
And I don't trade, but I've used Coinbase to actually buy crypto, but I've only bought it once, like 5 years ago. So
yeah, Coinbase is a pretty common one, but I think the crypto market is. So I like the crypto. I mean, I'm going to be sound like I'm following a trend, but I see the crypto. The part of crypto I find interesting is maybe non-fungible tokens. Yeah. That to me is an interesting crypto play. When it comes to
like that,
yeah, I think that when it comes to Ethereum or Bitcoin or even Dogecoin, it's I mean, you're gambling, man. You're fucking gambling. I mean, you're not investing, because again, it's like Warren Buffett says, when you invest you don't really invest the way he looks at it. And I look at it the exact same way. I don't invest in stocks. I invest in businesses, right? If I invest in Tesla, I'm personally not investing in Tesla stock. I'm investing in Elon Musk and Tesla.
Yeah. What they'll do to,
and I believe that is a business that will be thriving for the next 20 years. And I want to be on the ups and downs and all over. With crypto, you're investing in nothing. You're only investing in something that you think will go up in value, because there's no actual intrinsic value. There's no profit loss. There's no profit to sale, profit to earning. You're just basically investing to invest. And that's, hey, listen, non-fungible tokens are the same way, really, but at least you're investing in art, or you're investing in a moment.
Yeah, because now you're looking at this revolution of like you said, of media, right? Because before this, unless you made a YouTube video, your video or JPEG of anything, a photo or whatever, was pretty useless and invaluable. Now, okay, cool. You spent 30 hours making a cool digital art piece. It has value.
Yeah, and you can sell that value, and then the person that is buying it, of course, is buying it hoping it will go up in value as an investment. But that's no different than traditional art. You know, people didn't buy Van Goghs to hang them in their living room. They bought Van Goghs knowing they would go up in value. And so I think that
I think the future of NFTs is very bright, and just in the general idea of like having AR and VR art. I think is a big thing, dude. I think
so I again, you know, crypto is something that I stay away from. I mean, I think that if I were going to invest in you know, listen, if you want to invest $5,000 in Dogecoin, if you can pick it up in the 4.5 cent range, what are you going to do? You're not going to get hurt that bad. If it goes down to nothing, you lost $5,000, and if it goes up to $10, you've made a fortune. So I think that that's not a bad play. I think Ethereum probably is the better of the choices over Bitcoin, because I think that's so. And I know some of my reptile people are probably falling off right now, like I don't care about Bitcoin or crypto. But listen, if Bitcoin is in the $50,000 price range right now, the best case scenario is that it's going to double its money up to $100,000 Bitcoin, which is ridiculous if it goes to 100,000. But that's the best case scenario. But there's a very good chance it could go from 50 to 15, and now you've just lost 75% of your money, right? So to me, Bitcoin is a very, very volatile market. And listen, if it goes to 100,000, then but really, if you invest 10 grand and you made 20, is it worth potentially losing 7,500 of your 10? You know what I mean? To me, it's just the risk to reward is just not there. When you were investing in Bitcoin at 15,000 and it went up to 50,000, that's a different story, because now you've quadrupled your money and you're doing great, but in the grand scheme of things, I think crypto is a very, very scary investment, and I think it's just so speculative that I personally think you could invest your money in some really great stocks that have great PE and
huge things going on right now,
price to sale earnings, and there's I mean, when you look at growth stocks, you obviously have the whole EV thing, you have space, you have cannabis. On the growth side, on the blue chip side, you still have some really great value stocks that are dividend based. That I'm going to get off this because this is boring as shit to most people. But
dude, it's all good. We just don't want anyone to do something they wouldn't want to do.
Be careful.
Ace says, have you seen what Kyle at Primitive Predators has going on? Every young herper's dream.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, I've been down to Kyle's place, and
what does he have going on, Brian?
Well, he's done all the crocodile stuff. He's done now he's doing big tortoise breeding facility.
Oh,
well,
wow.
You got to remember is that Kyle, who was, by the way, really great guy, really enjoy the time that we spent together, and I think the world of him. But he has unlimited money. Okay, I mean, like
literally unlimited funds.
Legitimately, like I think his family is worth like $3 billion or something like that. I mean, like, so yes, Kyle is living the dream, but most people are never going to live that dream. You know what I mean? Most people, I think that each of his crocodile enclosures was like $150,000.
That's incredible.
For like one crocodile enclosure. No one's spending $150,000 on a crocodile. That doesn't have
unlimited funds.
Unlimited funds. That being said, I love it, and I
does
think
it look ridiculous?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, the whole thing is fantastic.
Sick.
I love his content. I love his personality. I love his vision. The thing that I love about him is he does have unlimited money, and he's willing to spend money on something like reptiles.
Yeah,
he's not doing it for the money.
He's not buying Rolexes and cars. He's buying.
No, he is buying.
Okay.
Maybe not Rolexes, but he does have probably has a several $1 million car collection.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So yeah, I mean, he's a car guy too. But he still loves reptiles, so it's obviously his passion. He doesn't have any aspirations to make money or do anything else like that. He's spending money on reptiles because he loves it.
V-Dog says, I have a small dog. Was just wondering, if I got a snake, would my small dog always be seen as food, or could they cohabitate?
Well, cohabitate is probably the word you should probably take away from that sentence. Snakes and dogs don't cohabitate, most of the time snakes, almost rarely in captivity, I should say, at least in America. rarely would a snake look at his dog as food.
Yeah.
You know, we bring our dogs to work almost, most days. Obviously Jay has dog and cat
and I have reptiles. Yeah.
But you should still never let them around each other.
Like I wouldn't have a full grown boa out with a Yorkie ever in my life.
I mean, just because it's just taking a risk. But as far as like, having a boa or python in a cage, even a giant python in a cage, and having a dog running around,
it's not going to probably strike
nothing's going to, nothing's happening. I mean, my dogs run around all the time. They've been running around since they were puppies here at the shop, and they're completely fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had even like I say, I've had a ball python out, and I've had my dog come up and sniff it, and they both look at each other. Nothing, they never did anything to one another. Dog walks away. Snake doesn't give a damn. So
right. No, absolutely. But cohabitate, definitely not. Don't put them in the same cage.
100%. I'm guessing this is for the coloring book. Maria asks, can you do a PDF version for our friends out of the U.S.? I tried hooking up someone in the U.K. It was going to cost me over $200 to ship a book.
Yeah, so
it's not a bad idea.
I mean, the UK sucks when it comes to shipping because of the whole Brexit thing.
I know. Didn't work out for me.
Yeah, it's I think it's a mess, and it's going to really be I mean, it pretty much killed our merch sales in the UK because of the tax that has to be paid to the UK. It's a shame. PDF. The problem with PDF is much like we were just talking about NFTs, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a digital art that has what they call a blockchain. So if I sold you a PDF, then that person could then just print out 18,000 copies of my coloring book and
sell them themselves or give them away.
Yeah, now you just killed it. So it's very difficult to make that work, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, it sucks. And unfortunately, really, the UK is the only country that is very difficult to ship to. We can ship to the rest of the world for $15 or something like that. So I don't know about $200. I don't know if it's cheaper than that or not, but I know that it's really, the UK has made it very, very difficult, and I hope that at some point they rectify it after the whole Brexit thing is over with.
Does that just come down to a similar thing? Like if you were a small business, you'd pay more for shipping because you're not shipping as much. Like is UK now, because they're not part of the whole?
No, they're putting a tax on everything is what it is.
Interesting.
So basically what happens is like for instance, theoretically, if you were to sell at the White Plains Reptile Show, you're supposed to pay sales tax to New York State.
I do know that,
right?
Yeah.
Now, no one does, but you're supposed to. Well, in this case, we would have to actually have essentially a sales tax ID number for the UK, and then we'd have to register every single sale that we made to the UK, and then pay VAT tax on every single piece of gear that we've sent over, which just makes it almost right. The way the system is now, it makes it completely unsustainable.
Damn, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is too bad.
Sixpence says, hey, Brian, is Tyler Nolan coming on anytime soon?
I really haven't talked to Tyler in a bit. Obviously, we're going to, have him come up. I actually paid for a plane flight for him to come up back in March.
Pre-Cove.
And we obviously canceled that plane flight. But, I don't know if we still have the credit on that or not. That's his.
We should figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, it would be his credit, not mine. Even though I paid for it, you can only get the credit in his name.
For sure.
So he got credit for the flight. I don't know if he, I should reach out to him at some point.
Yeah, let's do that.
But again, I think that we will definitely have a lot of guests on going forward. But at the same time, I think we're pretty close to vaccines and being hopefully herd immunity and all these other things. So I'm not in a huge hurry to.
We'd rather wait that out.
We're so close. We're so close. Let's just wait a little bit more.
Ben's balls.
I
love to hear it. He says, "How can I get a coloring book in the UK, please?"
Yeah, we're just talking about that, man. It's really, really difficult, dude. Man, I mean, I wish there was a simple solution, I mean, just your government sucks right now. I hate to say it, I know a lot of, Brits really wanted to get out of the whole European Union thing, and so I mean some were for it, some were against it, obviously, but unfortunately exiting that is really caused some backlash on some areas, and for us it's literally almost impossible for us to ship to you. I mean, like they said, you're going to pay $10 for a coloring book and you're going to pay $200 to get it to you, which is it just sucks. It just sucks, man, because when you look at our analytics. The UK is always the second or third largest audience that we have. So it sucks that, you guys support us so much and we can't even get you merch, so I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I wish there was something I could do about it.
Mr. Simple Man says,
he's back. What's
so
up?
Now that you have more time for 3.0, have your plans changed at all for it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and for those you guys don't know, if you didn't watch the vlog, we were in talks. I couldn't, much like I just, was very evasive with my explanation of my latest collaboration. We were in talks with HGTV about doing a renovation show on Discovery Plus. Really for months. I mean, this goes back to November of last year, and the whole conversation up until a week or so ago was very positive. Like everyone felt like it was a done deal. It was going to happen. They went to a green light meeting, and sometimes all it takes is just one executive in the network that says, nope, I don't like this, or whatever the case may be. And in this case, I read the email that was sent that basically said we have a strict policy not to put animal shows on the network that have to do with profit. Which is just bullshit, quite frankly.
Literally.
It's just literally bullshit. I mean, you've got obviously Deadliest Catch, where you're catching crab and killing them for money. You have obviously
Irwins.
The Irwins.
It's the same show.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, I mean, a zoo is a zoo, right? It doesn't matter that the Irwins is Australia Zoo. It's owned privately by the Irwin family. It's not owned by the government. It's a for-profit zoo. Just like the Reptarium is a for-profit reptile zoo. So it didn't make sense. The hypocrisy really bothered me. That being said, I was, half excited and half dreading it because with the expansion, they would be really dictating what was going to happen more than I was. Not as far as design and end result, but like the timing and probably the production value of everything. We may have to cut corners. We may have to have done things that we didn't want to do because we didn't have the money, whatever the case may have been. And so, yes, have things changed a little bit? I mean, in a way, I think it's better. I think that we're going to be able to do 3.0 on our time. I think we're going to be able to do 3.0 better. Actually, on Monday, I have an engineer coming out, and we're going to start talking. Yeah, Monday, the guy's supposed to come out. To him. I talked to him when I was on the road, actually. Real nice guy, and he seemed to be pretty excited about the project. I was, wow, this sounds really cool, something I'd be really into. So he's going to come out, and we're going to get a scope of work, what they call a scope of work. And then we can start to really nickel and dime and start to find out what's possible, what's not possible, and start making it happen. And once we actually have and now we have the time to do it the way I want to, which is like mapping out all of the things that I need to do. And then when I map out all these things that I need to do, then I can make the most educated decision on what to do for moving forward. Right. And in the meantime, the other thing that in the meantime, it gives us opportunity to make money and to build more money up, to spend more money, so it just makes things better. So yeah, did it change some things? Absolutely. Will 3.0 happen as quickly as it would if we would have done the HGTV? Probably not. It's probably going to take longer because we're going to be a little bit more patient about it. That being said, I think the end result will be better, not only from an end product standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. For me, it'll be a much better thing.
I agree. Kelsey says, oh my God, hi, me and my 1-year-old love your channel.
Thank you so much, Kelsey.
It was Kelsey, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate it. And give that 1-year-old a little smack on the ass for me.
Yeah, no, boom.
Just kidding.
Do your homework.
Get to work. You're 1 year old. Start paying the bills.
You're a man now.
No, seriously.
Or a woman.
I appreciate you, Kelsey.
We do. We love you. Harry says, hey, Brian, I sent you an email on my idea for a feeding schedule. Just checking if you had time to check it out yet. If so, tell me what you think about it.
I honestly have no clue what you mean, dude. I'm sorry. Number one,
it was probably from another podcast. I feel like I remember somebody saying, hey, I'll send you an email.
Idea for a feeding schedule.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I don't know where you sent the email. If you send it again, attention, Brian, because chances are pretty good it was sent to an email that never made it to me. then I don't know what the feeding schedule would mean. I mean, we're pretty good about feeding schedules here.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but
we're pretty scheduled out. We've been doing it a while, so so I don't know. I'm not sure, but please send that email again. Put it attention, Brian. I'd love to take a look at it. Whatever you have. I mean, I again, when it comes to feeding schedule with animals, I don't know that there would be anything that I would ever change because we've been doing stuff successfully for so many decades. I don't know that you'd want to change feeding schedules. They're pretty
pretty scheduled.
Pretty set in stone, yeah.
Justin says, "Hi, Brian. I have been reporting all posts on the Reptile Keepers Against Brian Barczyk group, trying to get them taken down for you. Also love the Saturday podcast."
Well, I appreciate it, man. I do.
You got an incel.
Yeah,
it's an incel.
Nice. Well, I appreciate it. Listen, I mean, it's you could tell those people, number one, I mean, the people on that group are so beyond pathetic, dude,
if you're in it's hard enough to join a group for something positive. If you're joining a negative group on Facebook, you ain't got shit going on.
In a negative group,
dude.
I mean, these are a bunch of 30-something, 40-something, mainly guys that literally have been obsessed about me for 5 years. I mean, guys, man, just move on. Move on. You're okay. You know what I mean? You can move on with your life. And this goes back to that saying, right? A bee doesn't explain to a fly that honey tastes better than shit. You are a bunch of flies, and you just eat shit. And I'm going to be the bee, and I'm going to eat the honey, and you aren't affecting me. Guys, after this many years of you trying to hurt me, I've only flourished. At some point, you may want to turn your hatred towards someone else.
Yeah,
that's going to make a difference, because I don't care about you.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you think. I don't care about what you say. I look at you and I feel sorry for you. I literally feel sorry for you, because I'm telling you what, am I perfect? Hell no. I'm not even close to perfect. But if you think I'm the worst thing that's happened to reptiles, then you have something pathetically wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like, we are doing amazing things
so
for
much
the reptile.
Shit for reptiles.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on.
You're bugging.
So literally, but it is funny that a hate group like that can be around, and Facebook will allow it to be around. I've talked to Facebook. I have great Facebook connections, and obviously I have Facebook managers, and it's really surprising, because I think that hate groups like that are exact opposite of what Facebook wants to be about. Yet they let those groups survive because of freedom of speech. And I guess that's the way it has to be, and I have to be okay with that, because there is freedom of speech, and I am all about freedom of speech. I just think that it's like, at some point, you got to look at those people and think they are really sad, pathetic people. I mean, they really are sad, pathetic individuals. And you know what? They probably give me a view every day. That, probably each one of them watches my vlog every morning. They're probably at 9 o'clock in the morning setting their alarm because they can't wait to watch.
Yeah, they're like, what torture did he do to these poor animals today?
And the thing is, I know a lot of those people that are in that group.
Personally.
I've known them in the past, and they've kept animals exactly like I do. So like they're so hypocritical, but they just want to feel relevant. You know what I mean? And chances are the group won't get taken down. And in the meantime, no one gives a shit. No one cares. I mean, their small little group of people can be hateful people, and they can say negative things, and they can try to make up things. I mean, and I'll just keep on going about my way, and it will not affect me. It will not hurt me. It will not change anything. They can do whatever they want, and they ain't going to make any difference in my life. And I just hope one day they can actually realize that what they're doing is just pathetic, and
waste of time.
And I really, seriously, I say this, I feel bad for them. I really do. I mean, like, I don't know what a miserable life you must be leading to. And it's funny, I talked to Kevin McCurley the other day about this, not about that group, but about the fact that he, and Kevin's a great friend of mine, but he really was talking about the lack of unity in the reptile community, and how, like, if we keep going down the path that we're going with the legislation which is an onslaught of legislation against reptile keeping, we will be gone in 5 years. The reptile community will be gone. Yet we would consider, we just want to keep bitching about one another rather than trying to join together. And what he said is that, and this isn't boisterous, or like me going, oh, look at how great I am. The fact is that I think anyone that is honest with theirself, and you guys know that I don't like compliments about myself. I don't like to puff myself up. But the fact is that if you look in the last 10 years, there is anyone that's being honest would say that we've brought more people into the reptile community than anyone at all, period. I mean, by far, right?
Oh, duh.
Yeah, by far.
Like,
So this is what Kevin said, is that the reptile community has treated me so badly. So they've ostracized me and made lies up about me and treated me like I'm such a villain. That's why Kevin said, like, I don't know why, and Kevin was saying, he was talking to Brian Potter from the NARBC. He said, I don't even know why Brian would want to help the reptile community at this point, because I've transcended the reptile community to the point where it doesn't matter anymore to me. It's not where I make my money. It's not where anything. But yet I love the reptile community so much, I'm willing to continue to help as much as I possibly can. And Kevin had said that if I were you, I probably wouldn't even want to help. I'd be like, F you people. I've moved on. You've dug your grave. Go screw yourself. But I don't look at it that way. But that being said, one of the things that Kevin talked about, and this goes back to what we're saying with this group, and by the way, I appreciate this particular person because he is exactly what Kevin said people should do, is that while people were beating me up, all my friends and people that knew the truth sat back quietly and did nothing because they were worried about if they spoke up that they would get attacked. Well, Kevin isn't doing that. Kevin is standing up for me. He's saying, he's being my friend. He's telling people the truth about me. And that's what he was saying, is that, as a reptile community, people should, if you see something negative said about me that is obviously just hatred, then you should defend me, much like I defend other people that this happens to, right? Like, I've defended, Tyler Nolan. I've defended tons of people that I feel are doing more good for the hobby than bad for the hobby, and they get beat up for the wrong
X, Y,
reason.
or Z.
Yeah, and I've been vocal saying this is bullshit. That did this person make a mistake? Yes, they did. Should they be ostracized and treated like a pauper? No, and that's where Kevin talked about how the reptile hobby really. And it's true. They did me horrible. I mean, listen, I don't care. Life costs. This is the irony. And this is the thing that I think is, I think is an irony that the people from the hate group against me on Facebook don't realize. Because of you, I've become successful. You in that hate group are the ones that made me change my life to now see success. And do they realize that they did? If they would have not done anything, I would still be going down the same path.
Go to the White's Plains show.
Yeah, I'd be going to the White's
Plains
show. Right. I'd be struggling. I'd have good years. I'd have bad years. You guys made me change the direction in life. And by that change, I am now have a level of success that I would have never achieved if it wasn't for your hatred. So great, like, though? What you did backfired. You literally backfired. You made me a success because you gave me no choice but to move them in a different direction. And that I find the most ironic out of everything, right? But that being said, Kevin's right. Do I have anything to gain by helping the reptile community? No, not really at all. Will I help the reptile community? Absolutely, because I live and die and breathe for that community. It's what made me who I am today, and I will always love it, and I will go to my deathbed fighting for everyone's rights to keep reptiles and breed reptiles and to keep them as pets. But I don't have a dog in the race anymore. I could walk away and never talk to another person in the reptile community, and I'd be just as much successful as ever, So, I mean, thank you. You're one of the people that is doing the right thing by trying to stick up for me rather than sitting silently and letting people beat me up, knowing that all it's doing is like, listen, I'll get off my soapbox after this one, is that, do you think that the most influential guy in the reptile business, the reptile breeding business, let's say, would you want to make that person an enemy? Or do you want to build that person up, right? And for whatever reason, the reptile community decided to make me an enemy, which seems ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy, but like, as funny as it sounds though, Brian, it does happen in other things too. Like, all right, good example, Najee Houston or Ryan Sheckler, skateboarders, famous skateboarders. Yeah. When Ryan Sheckler became real famous because he was incredibly talented. It's not like he was just like, oh, you're a pretty dude, go be famous. Super talented, everyone hated him.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, or same thing with music. If you were a real famous band, people like get pissed, and then they're like,
it was almost like Metallica,
man.
Right? When they were like, when they went mainstream, people were like, I fucking hate Metallica.
Exactly.
And then they're selling out venues all across the, the biggest
like,
venues.
Sorry, can't hear you from my jet. My bad.
And so anyways, it's a weird thing. It's a weird dynamic. And it's not just the reptile community, but
But I know what you're saying. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, people should have said, like, again, if I was doing a bunch of really horrible things, and it's not to say that things I've done in the past have always been great. I mean, I think I've evolved tremendously. And I think it, outside of sensational titles and thumbnails. Oh gosh. Outside of sensational titles and thumbnails, if you can find fault in what I'm doing in the last 4 years, then I guess you can find it. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't made a mistake in 4 or 5 years. I'm saying that we're pretty generic, but yet someone will judge my content based on a thumbnail. Well, whatever. Life goes on. If that's the way you want it, if you want to judge me on a thumbnail, then I don't care what you think,
Same, dude. Mick Shreddy says, R.I.P. Taz.
Yeah, man, I tell you. We have Taz's brother right now, ironically enough.
Yeah.
And he looks great, by the way.
Yeah.
He shed out and looked fantastic. He looked pretty ratted out before, but he shed out and looks absolutely beautiful.
Unreal beautiful.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. Will we keep... That's not a replacement for Taz. We may get another Tegu, but Taz, will
meant
never have...
a lot to us, so having his brother here.
Yeah, having his brother here is cool. It really is cool. To be honest with
it's
you,
more
really
of like an
cool.
in-memory thing than a replacement. It's more like a Band-Aid, you know?
Yeah.
Stephanie says, good evening.
Good evening.
Update on my mom. She's still in the hospital, but hopefully that she will be able to keep her kidney transplant. It's an uphill climb.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Stephanie. That's awesome.
Well, I hope that she's continuing to do well. Again, I know that's a rough road, and I mean, what you got to remember, is that you're putting a foreign object in your body, and even if it's a match as far as blood type and everything else, your body is trying to kill it, right?
Yep.
Your body is
Immune
literally
system.
trying to kill off that foreign object in your body, and so you have to be on a lot of anti-immune medication so that your body isn't killing off that foreign object, and
then your immune system's down low.
It creates a tremendous amount of conflict within internally. So we'll be praying for your mom for
always.
Sure.
Let Roses Burn says, with getting accredited, do you have any worry about having more rules in place like at other zoos, Clyde's Place, for example?
Yeah, so that's why I won't go AZA. AZA is American Zoological Association, and yes, they have tremendous amounts of control over what you do. If you go ZAA, which is Zoological Association of America, they're pretty hands-off, So they'll accredit you. You have to definitely have their standard. So you have to live up to a standard of care and veterinary medicine and quarantine protocol and all the things that make a zoo a great zoo, but they don't really ever tell you what to do with your animals. You can do pretty much whatever you want, including hands-on, like we do here at the Reptarium. So that's the accreditation that we're looking for. It won't get us a Komodo or directly, because AZA is the only zoos that can have Komodo dragons. But we know of at least a couple places, one that we just were at, that have a Komodo that's not even a ZAA, no accreditation whatsoever.
Just a private zoo,
It's a private zoo. And there's 2 of those in the country right now that are non-accredited zoos. So
we've been to both, right?
No, not the other one.
Okay,
not the other one. But I think that when they do say, okay, we can let a Komodo out of the AZA, much like they have twice now, I think that there's a better chance for them to go to a ZAA accredited zoo than a private zoo that has no accreditation at all. Right. So I think that we'll be in better standings. And it also puts us just into a different level when it comes to the authorities and everything else when you're accredited. So it's a process that could take us several months to get done because not only do you have to pass all of the scrutiny of review, but then once they actually are done with the review on your business, they have to actually send someone out to do inspections. And
bureaucratic paperwork.
Do all that stuff, and then ultimately you end up either getting accepted or denied.
Sweet. BOZ Reptiles says, hey, Brian, sent you a package with 2 shirts and a letter. I hope you enjoyed. Have 2 ball pythons soaking in their water bowl every day. Concerned, what should I do?
Okay, so first off, I don't know if I got your package yet.
We haven't been to the P.O. Box in a minute.
I haven't been to the P.O. Box in a minute. Been really busy, so I'll definitely check that out. Hopefully I will get it, and I hope that I appreciate you sending us some shirts. As far as the water bowl, there's 2 different things to think about, 2. I was going to say 3, but I think 2.
Yeah.
One would be check for mites.
Yep.
Mites
That's what
are
I
a
would
big
say.
thing.
Yeah.
If you have snakes soaking in the water bowls, a lot of times it's mites. If it's not mites, the cage might be a little warm, so they'll go in their water bowl to cool off. So ball pythons typically won't soak in water except for those two reasons. They might for like a once in a while,
but they won't sit in there for a day.
If you see a couple of them doing it, that tells me there's a reason why they're doing it. They're either too hot and they're trying to cool off, or they have mites and they're trying to kill the mites by soaking in the water. So check for mites first. Check your temperatures. I would assume one of those two things is probably the culprit.
Let's hope it's temps.
And then if it's neither, then you're good to go.
Yeah, maybe it's just an anomaly.
Yep.
Master Saber says that's a funny name.
Yeah.
It's close to.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
yeah, well, hi, Brian. Can you name a new turtle, Gamera, the Caillou turtle from Gamera series, who is friend to all children, a guardian of the universe?
Yeah, I mean, I know Gamera well. I mean,
wait, do you?
Yeah, you know Gamera?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. My Gamera was actually from Godzilla.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Gamera, but I think Gamera and Gamera are the same. But punch up Godzilla versus Gamera. It's as a kid, this was like Gamera was my favorite of all of the maybe just images.
Oh yeah, was that him?
Yeah, it's a turtle.
Dude, that's tight.
I mean, he was great.
It looks like Bowser.
Yeah, he's great. So that was always and I don't know if this particular, the other Gamera is like somehow an offshoot of the Godzilla or not. But certainly when I was a kid, I used to love Godzilla. I still love Godzilla.
Godzilla's great, man.
And so yeah, as a matter of fact, it'll be interesting. They've got that Godzilla versus King Kong coming out. So
I didn't know that. That sounds like it'd be dope.
So it's that kind of goes old school as well. Right?
Yeah.
Way back in the day, there was Godzilla versus King Kong in the 60s and 70s. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But yes, so I love it.
Tyler King asks, Jay, what species do you keep? I have Peruvian red-tailed boa, a Amazon tree boa, some ball pythons. I got like 5 ball pythons. Yeah, some ball pythons. I have a carpet python. Do you remember what that one was? I actually forgot the other day. I believe it was
Darwin's.
Darwin with something else too, I think, though.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Jag, maybe? Darwin Jag?
I think it was a Darwin Jag, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One of my favorite snakes I've ever had. And New Guinea Forest Dragon. That's it. That's all I have right now. I used to have more, and when I moved, I sold some off. So now I'm chilling.
There you go.
I don't need a million things in my house right now, No. I'm done. I'm good. Kathleen says, love your podcast. This is my first year breeding animals. Horses, not reptiles.
Oh, nice.
Do you select for anything other than color? Do you line breed? Thanks.
Yes. And yes. Line breeding in reptiles is a little bit different than line breeding in, say, mammals like horses. The studies, basically are that, about 3 or 4 generations, you don't see any adverse effects from line breeding.
Right.
But I'm very careful about not really getting past 1 generation of line breed. I try to always outbreed to line breed back in. But I think you could probably go 3 or 4 generations without any really major ill effects. I personally don't want to because I think it's better for me not to. But yeah, we shoot for color, we shoot for pattern, we can shoot for size.
Aside from that, that's it though, right? Because like in dogs, obviously you're going for like ear shape and nose shape. We don't do any of like faces or anything.
There's a little bit of it that happens.
Really? Interesting.
Like Texas rats, for instance, they used to breed for eye size. Right now, there's
didn't know that.
In Europe. Maybe it's Asia. Not sure. There's actually a leopard gecko that's bred for eyes. Has larger eyes. Or smaller eyes, something like that. It's a tangerine leopard gecko that has different size eyes. That I think it's in Europe that they're breeding, and they actually like the mutation of having a different size eye. It's not common. I mean,
it's not like common like dogs. Dogs, you would think. I mean, we've done everything too.
But we also can breed for docility too. That's temperament is something else that you can breed for.
Creme de la clutch. He came back and he says, I sent a female on breeder loan 8 months ago, and she just died with the other keeper. I asked for a dollar amount for her, but it's been a month long and I'm getting ghosted a bit. What would you do? Well, so this is a tough one, dude. I mean, I kind of think that, when you send something out on breeder loan, you are accepting the possibility of it dying. And if it dies, I don't necessarily think that you can blame the other person because you chose to send it to that person. If that person neglected it, then
you made a bad decision to send it to him, right? So I am a person that if I were to send, and listen, you got to remember, I sent out 4 of the only albino savanna monitors in the world, and all 4 of them died that I spent $100,000 on, and I didn't get 1 penny back. Not 1 penny. I didn't ask for a penny. I asked for nothing. They killed them. I asked for nothing. I sent out 3 Nile monitors, the night Niles. 2 of the 3 were killed at this breeder's place, and I got 1 back, a Basuku, and I got nothing. I didn't ask for anything. So my opinion is that when you send that out, you're taking the risk, and if it dies, you walk away from it. I don't believe that person deserves or is
owes you that.
Is on the hook to pay you a dime, to be totally honest with you. And like I said, if for some reason you think it was their fault because of neglect, then you made the wrong decision. And I don't mean to sound harsh to you, dude. I appreciate you for everything you do, but that's the way I look at it. I've sent animals out, and many animals I've sent out have died. I have never got $1 for one of them, and quite frankly, I've never asked for $1. And like I said, I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on breeder loans like that. If I took an animal in and for some reason it just suddenly died, I would feel shitty if that person was like, well, now you need to pay me for that animal. Yeah. I'd be like, well, why?
It died. It's not my fault.
So I think personally, I think that's just the part of the risk of breeding loans, and that's quite frankly why I don't do breeding loans anymore, is because I've never come out on a breeding loan where I 99.9% of the breeding loans I've done over the last 30 plus years, I've come out on the bad side of.
Yep.
And that isn't just coincidence.
One of the sayings that you've told me that Forrest said that's my favorite is the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
yeah,
wonderful saying.
Yeah, it is an interesting saying, but yeah. So that's just my opinion, is that I think you entered into a business, the business failed, and you both lost.
Yeah. Jacob says, I've been thinking about breeding balls, but my only worry is not having anyone to sell to. When you started, how did you find buyers?
So I think that, this is a weird one, right? Because, I mean, it's a little bit of like, if you build it, they will come. I think that if you breed snakes, reptiles, and you're a decent person and you have some ability to be on social media, even if it's a very small following, you'll sell your snakes. But I don't even know if you need to be on social media. I mean, what happens is, like, you buy this pair of snakes, you raise it up, and you meet 10 people in the process that become friends, and 6 of the 10 of them will buy your snakes. You know what I mean? Like, and then you just build their network from there, right? So I've never actually even encountered, the only time that I buy snakes from people that, like, produce a bunch of snakes, and I have a few arrangements where I buy all the babies from people, is not because they can't sell their animals, it's because they don't want to sell their animals. They're like, I love working with these animals, I just don't want to sell anything. I'd rather sell it all to you, and you sell it to people.
You deal with that.
I don't want to deal with the public. Every other person I've ever known that's bred snakes, from the smallest guy to the biggest guy, when you produce, you will find people to buy. I mean, seriously, yep. That just seems to be the case. I mean, selling snakes or selling reptiles they sell theirself. They really
people
do.
Already want the animals. People already want the pet.
Yeah, there's no. It's unlike some problems, like I say in the UK with bearded dragons. There's an abundance of bearded dragons to the point where there's national uprise about not even being able to breed them anymore because there's too many rescues and all this other stuff. That's not the case in the U.S. In the U.S., as many reptiles as you could breed, you could sell.
Clint, our buddy, he came back. He says, Snake Charmer, how a kid from Michigan taught the world to love reptiles. Working title idea for a book. Don't forget, we are all here for you, bro.
Oh, thanks, Clint. And I like the idea of the working title.
Yeah.
But I like my title better.
Ooh, just right? Fighting words.
Come on, man. Do you want the kid from Michigan?
The kid from
snakes?
Detroit.
He likes snakes and sells snakes, or do you like the
honey and shit?
The one. Honey and shit one.
Classic.
Come on now. Who's gonna sell books better?
Our buddy B Dub. He says, "Hey Brian and Jay, can I get a hello or a shout out? You get a hello.
Hey, what's going on, dude?
What up, B Dub?
What's up, B Dub? I love your wild wings, man.
Yeah, so good, dude. I love your wild wings. Our buddy Jason from Morph Mixology Reptiles says the best revenge is succeeding at a higher level than those trying to strike you down. Keep it up.
Yeah, well, you're right, Jason, and you know, I would I'm trying to say this nicely. I would pretty much tell you for sure that there's not one person on the hate group that's doing better in life than I am. So I would like to think, I would pretty much guarantee that the fact, you know. As a matter of fact, I thought was funny was that the guy that ran the hate group, this is I'm going to tell you a quick story. The guy that ran the main guy that started it, you know, the hate group, went to jail for beating his girlfriend up twice. Okay. And so at one point, you know, when he was outed and his mugshot got released that he had beat up his girlfriend, mind you, he's like 6'2", 6'3". Doesn't matter how big you are, but you should never be beating up women. But he's a big man, and he beat up his woman. And he got out of jail, and within a week, everyone in the group forgave him for beating up a woman, but still thought I was the worst guy in the world. That told me everything I need to know about that group, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Like, I would have had more respect from that group if they said, we still hate Brian, but you're never going to be in this group again. You know, we're going to start our own group because we don't want a woman beater in our you know, to be leading the thing. So that tells you all you need to know, man. I mean, you know, gosh, you know, I mean, if that's where your morals are, then yeah, I guess I'm a pretty bad dude, man. God bless me, man.
They made the devil strike you down.
No, but like I said, I feel bad for them. They don't bother me. They don't affect me. They don't change my direction or trajectory in life. They don't at all. I hate the fact that I'm even talking about them because it makes them somewhat relevant, which they are irrelevant in my life. You know, I don't care. And I just find it interesting that they're still even there.
Yeah, it's like bizarre.
Like, wow, after this many, that's conviction, man. I mean, at least I give them a little credit.
Yeah, at least they stick to their guns.
They're so convicted that they can obsess themselves over another man. Good for them, man.
Kyle says, hello from New York. As somebody who is considering opening up a reptarium of my own here in New York one day, can you give any insight on what you may do to prevent things like mites being tracked in when so many people are coming to visit?
Yeah. So we preventatively treat for mites every week.
Yep.
You know, so every single week, every Tuesday, we spray our cages for mites.
Just in case.
Just
you never
as
know.
a preventative, because you're 100% right. You will get them brought in. There's 100% fact on that.
Someone's going to go to a reptile show, then straight to your facility.
Or
you know?
they have their own collection, and it's going to happen. So we preventatively spray every single week, and I think that's the only way that you could really keep it out.
Melissa says, how's Bruce doing? Love you guys.
Bruce was here today. Did you see him?
I did not. I must have left right when he came here.
Yeah, Bruce was here. He came to drop off Jessica, and he hung out for about an hour. Of course, hung out in Baby Cush's cage for a bit.
Oh, hell yeah. Did you tell him you hold him to?
I did. I think he was jealous, I think.
But I also spilt the beans a little bit on that
one. Oopsie.
Oops.
Yeah, stay tuned for the vlog. Coming soon. But no, it was great to see Bruce. You know, I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, we
obviously miss him a tremendous amount, and you know, I've been trying to keep up on the training without him and working hard on the animals. But it'll be nice to have him back, where it takes a little bit of pressure off myself. Mike obviously has been working. You know, Magic Mike has been working his ass off, doing a really good job. But I'm sure Mike's going to be really happy to have him back as well. So looks like we're. I think that the doctor said April 1st.
Oh, that's nothing. He's
right,
almost ready.
But Jessica said she thought that was too ambitious. She thought that maybe 4 weeks from now would be more reasonable. And
I was going to say, because that's quick as hell. I mean,
yeah,
shit.
A few weeks is probably too much. I mean, he's still healing pretty hard, but I know he's bored out of his mind.
Oh, my God.
And he can't wait to get back, and we do miss him, so hopefully he'll be back soon.
The Hurt Preacher says, would 3.0 being on TV have affected those who could have come to help? I've been there for 1 and 2 and plan to be there for 3, assuming that's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, number one, it would not have affected that. As a matter of fact, we would have been open-armed with it.
Well, probably more people would
but now we don't have to even worry about it. So thank you for coming for 1 and 2.
We'll see you for 3.
We'll love to have you for 3. It's going to be a different build and a different install for sure.
Yes.
But
the top part half will be the same.
Yeah,
but the bottom will be completely different.
And there's always that part that I may do. It's weird. You would think I would do the upstairs first and then the downstairs second, but there's a chance I may do the downstairs first and not do the upstairs, and then do the upstairs later, like a few months later.
Interesting.
And the reason I say that is the downstairs, you can't do the downstairs after you do the upstairs.
Okay.
Because of the commotion and noise and dirt and built and stuff like that. But you can go the opposite way. You can do the basement and then do the upstairs. So it might be difficult to do the upstairs and downstairs at the same time. It might be a little bit too much. So I could see myself just where the stairway is, just have a wall that just says,
coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. And the stairway goes down, and you do that, and
have
then
like a little door or something in
there. So it might actually be more like 3.0, 4.0. To be totally honest with you, I've thought about that.
2.5, 3.0.
Yeah, 2.5.4, 6.
Yeah, 2.641.
Yeah, 2.641. 3.142.
3.14579.
Yeah.
Chris says, "Good evening, gang. Hope everyone is doing well. Love the daily vlogs. Appreciate
Thank you
man.
so much, Chris. I appreciate you, man."
Sassaback Reptiles says, "Proud of you making the trip this week, brother."
Yeah, so my buddy Matt, obviously from Sassaback Reptiles, we spent a lot of time on the phone during that trip as well, which was nice. I mean, he had the day off the one day or evening off or whatever it was, and there was some times where I was pretty anxious. So just and Jay, we talked for quite a bit too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did rely on some of my friends to kind of keep myself mentally from not freaking out about making this trip. And Matt was a big part of it, and he was really encouraging. So it was really
Thank you,
nice.
Matt. We love you.
So thanks, Matt, brother.
A Little Bogus just said through $5, so she's not lurking. She doesn't want to be a lurker.
Don't be a lurker.
Don't be a little lurker.
It's always good to hear from you. Speaking of good to hear from Sherry, my girl.
Yeah. Oh my God. Where'd you go, Sherry?
Sherry disappeared.
Oh my God. Sherry says, "Hey, Brian and Jay, interesting podcast today. Some good questions. Sorry about Taz. If you were to obtain a Komodo, would you take the parking lot to build his enclosure? Positive vibes coming your way."
It's a great question. I mean, my initial thought of an enclosure for a Komodo would literally be the entire half of the upstairs building.
Yeah.
So we'd literally be looking at like a 60-foot cage that would be 8 to 10 foot deep.
Yeah.
It'd be a massive cage. I mean, it'd be a giant cage. But if for some reason, let's say I build out 3.0, 4.0, or whatever you want to call it.
And then a month later.
Then we might have to build back and do something. Or listen, the engineer that's going to be coming out this week, I'm going to talk to him about the possibility of building up too.
That'd be cool, man.
Whether I only build up or I go down and up. It might be more financially because you can build up and build. You got to remember, these are going to be thousands and thousands of gallons of water.
Yeah.
But if you're building up with that structure in mind, you can do steel beaming that can hold thousands and thousands of gallons of water. So we may find that putting an entire upstairs on the Reptarium
might be cheaper
than doing the basement. And then we would triple our space, that we have now.
Wow.
So I'm going to look at all options
before we pull a trigger.
Before we pull a trigger, for sure.
That's a really interesting thing. I didn't even think about that, but you're probably right. It probably would be cheaper. I mean, busting out foundations is probably a crazy thing.
It could be. I don't know the answer to it. And of course, the other answer is that when I look around Utica, I don't see any 2-story buildings. And there might be some variance about not being able to be that high.
What about the place that was down the street where they're building the new dispo? That was 2 stories.
Well, that was
a
house, though. That was a house. That's a totally different story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they counted because it was a business,
Yeah. I mean, it was a residential that got zoned commercial.
Okay.
So it was originally, back when it was built, that people lived there as a house, and then it got zoned commercial. Much like the street right behind us.
Right.
A bunch of those houses are actually zoned commercial, and they're like lawyers
or doctors or something.
But those were originally residents when they were built. So I don't know if we can even go up. But the city is very accommodating to us. So I think that, it wouldn't be...
not impossible.
It wouldn't be impossible.
Clistia says, "How's my love Ivy doing?"
Ivy's doing great. She's really doing great. She's absolutely beautiful. Love her to death, and she's getting so big.
I mean, just insane.
It is. It's really shocking. When I was looking the other day, I was looking back on videos on my phone, just looking for Instagram stuff to post, and just a year ago, just before we put her in her cage, which ironically enough, if you guys don't know, today was the year anniversary for us opening at the Reptarium,
great opening week.
2.0. literally today was 1 year, which is crazy to think about. But I saw pictures the day we were moving her into her new cage. I can't believe how small she was.
Isn't it wild?
It is
right?
Crazy how big she grew in 1 year.
She was a bit thicker, but around the size of like Aries.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
she was probably about the length of Aries and about twice the girth.
Yeah, now she's like twice the length of Aries and 5 times the girth.
It's crazy. Yeah, but healthy, not.
Oh
not
no,
unhealthy,
no! I don't want anyone to think that
Yeah.
she's perfect.
Yeah,
specimen.
She's really good. Yeah.
Scott says, Bry Guy, love Saturday nights and look for, Fook the haters. Hashtag Brian Muscle, hashtag Pet Vendor Crew. Bry, I know a guy selling his female Bell lace and croc monitors. Let me know if you may be interested. Jay has pics on his IG.
I will ask Jay to show me afterwards. There's always a possibility of that. And yeah, Pet Vendor Crew, that's awesome. That's some good shit right there. That's old school right there.
Hell yeah, dude.
That goes to to my childhood.
Jerica Potterhead, our girl, she says May 29th, hashtag Potterhead's Dirty 30 at the Reptarian VIP. Man. Baby, we know, we got you, Potterhead.
Yeah, you're going to be on the potty.
Oh,
the Potterhead's going to be on the
Potter. Potter on the Potter.
Potty on the Potter.
Damn, that'd be sweet.
No, yeah, we're definitely going to have a good time. Yeah, we're going to have a good time for sure. I can't wait to see you.
Jose says Spock. For $5, you gave the Spock hands, dude.
Oh, man, dude.
The Spocker.
It's interesting. I never liked Star Trek. I like Star Trek stuff, right? I mean, Star Wars stuff and space stuff is like my gig. I love space, but I was never a Trekkie. And but I did like the newest iteration of it. The kind of, what was it, like Star Wars Beyond or something like that.
I don't know.
I did like the newest one, not the one with the bald dude.
Star Trek, right? You're saying?
Yeah, Star Trek. Yeah, I think it was like Star Trek Beyond or something like that, or like this. Like
Discovery?
That second one over. Like I like this one. This one I liked.
Okay, Star Trek Beyond. Yeah.
That was all. I like that iteration. Which I'm sure some of the the Trekkies probably hated it.
Yeah, and that's probably why you liked it.
Yeah, but I did like that. That was my favorite one. You had Simon Pegg was in it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I just thought they really did a good job. So I will say, like I said, I was never a Trekkie as I was growing up, but my brother was.
Ooh.
So and again, we had one television in the house. No,
so you're forced to watch.
So I watched a lot of Star Trek begrudgingly. So I probably have seen most of them, but I was never really into them, which is really weird because I love sci-fi stuff and I love space stuff. I don't know why I just didn't like the original stuff. And that being said, I mean, I'm like a big fan of Leonard Nimoy. He did, In Search Of, which was one of my favorite shows growing up. And then, of course, Captain Kirk, what's his name?
Captain Kirk.
Come on, he's like.
I know. I'm trying to think of the show I've seen him in.
William
Shatner.
William Shatner. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has a show right now. I've always liked William Shatner, and he has a show on called Unexplained or something like that on History Channel right now. So again, I'm a big fan of the people. I don't know why I didn't like the show, but
I'm the same way because I'm obviously a science nerd and stuff too, and I couldn't want to watch it less. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the latest movies were pretty good.
Sweet. Ryan says, I got my second round of locks on my ball pythons. I can see bulges that look like eggs forming from the side. Am I drinking too much Kool-Aid?
Well, I hope not. I mean, you definitely do see distension when females are getting closer to laying eggs and stuff like that. So let's hope not. I mean, just keep
the Kool-Aid to a minimum.
Keep the course. Watch today's vlog. It was
That's right.
Very much. It was called The Breeding Chain, and
this is the perfect vlog for you.
Yeah.
Anyone that needs to know anything about ball pythons, you send them to that vlog.
Yeah, that vlog will help you out. You understand the breeding chain.
You'll be breeding like a son of a bitch.
You'll be producing snakes like
like a mofo.
Yeah, you'll be throwing them in the garbage.
Yeah, dude, you'd be like, I can't even deal with all these ball pythons.
Got so many damn snakes. I don't know what
They're flying out everywhere. Becky Galad says, sending love always. So sorry to hear about Taz. Much love.
Thank you so much. It was obviously. Thank you guys, and you guys are it's the love outpouring on that was very much needed because it was a hard hit for sure.
For sure. And then Melissa says, happy anniversary. So proud of your accomplishments.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And yeah, it's crazy to think that it's been a year already.
Since 2.0.
Yeah, since 2.0, and we've been talking about, we're filming something that'll come out here and then about today. It'll come out in a few days, about it. And it's been an interesting year, right? for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the very few times I think in our lifetime and maybe in the next 100 years that there will be something that happened that affected every person on the planet.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I've never really thought of, because like you have like something like 9/11, which is obviously crazy, but really only affected like us, right?
Yeah, right.
Like here in America or whatever. This is every human on the planet.
Yeah. Everyone on the planet was affected in some way.
For a year.
In some way, for at least a year. I think in some countries this is going to last for a long, long time. I think that, America, there's a good chance the U.S., could be behind by summer because of vaccinations. Right. Obviously, Israel's on great pace. Chile and a couple other countries are doing really, really well. But there are some countries that probably won't even get their first vaccination for another 6 or 8 months, won't even get their first vaccination, and it may take years. The estimates are that it might be the end of 2022 before some countries actually get vaccinated.
Right.
So it might be 2 more years before they even see the end of this. So, which is a little bit of a bummer, obviously, but it's been a wild year. There's been some great things that have happened this year. Obviously, me personally, I've had a very rough year mentally, obviously, with my anxiety. It's been a blur, and I'm praying that as time goes on, that blur becomes more and more clear, and this year will be just kind of a distant memory at best.
Yes, that's where I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
Let Roses Burn says, did you know Leonard Nimoy wrote multiple poetry books? Great reading.
Yeah, he was like I said, I love Leonard Nimoy. I was a huge fan of everything he did. Like I said, In Search Of, which this was interesting, right? So he had a show called In Search Of. And this was when I was young.
Right.
Can you search out In Search Of, like, what was the years In Search? The original In Search Of years, In Search Of show years. I wonder if they have like Wikipedia.
1977 to 82.
6 seasons too, so that was a pretty good thing. So you figure I was 8 years old when it came out. And I watched every single episode of
I feel
In
like
Search
I've
Of.
even seen this.
But this is what I love. Get this. So it was a paranormal show. I mean, they, Bigfoot, ghosts, you name it. It was in search of these, strange things, aliens, all this type of stuff. And it was really, way ahead of the curve, right? Because there wasn't really anything back there, like that. And so, but this is what I love, is that History Channel rebooted In Search Of, and they used the Spock from the new startup, the Star Trek Beyond. So they literally use, obviously Leonard Nimoy, who is the original Spock. They used this new Spock to be the host of the new In Search Of.
Smart.
And I think they did 2 seasons and it didn't get renewed. I actually really liked the show on History Channel, but unfortunately it didn't. I believe it hadn't got renewed because I think it's been a couple years since it's been out. But I thought it was very witty, and I'm sure, unfortunately, I'm sure most people had no idea
the connection of that. But that is really, really cool.
It was a super witty thing to do, and I'm sorry that it didn't thrive, because I think it was a pretty awesome idea.
Alicia threw a euro. I think that's what, $500-$600.
It's like
that's a full stimmy.
Like Ethereum. It's at least one Ethereum.
Yeah. And she didn't give a
Wouldn't
message.
it be nice if someone just dropped an Ethereum?
Boom.
Just
Ethereum
one
bomb.
Here's a 1 Ethereum for you.
Yeah, dude, that would be fucking so nice.
Can someone do that?
Or maybe
for
a
me?
Bitcoin would be pretty nice. Break me up a piece of that Bitcoin pie. How about that?
Give me a Bitcoin, baby.
I just figured out last night.
Bitcoin.
I had like money in Ethos I put in there years ago and never pulled it out. I had like $200 left in there. And it went from like, I think I bought it at, I don't even remember, like 40 cents, and it went up to $5. So I was just like, oh, sweet, I got $600 chilling right now for no reason. So
that's awesome.
$600 something. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to leave it there because I don't even know my key. I literally don't even know my bank key.
Oh, gosh.
To get the shit out. So it could go up to $1 million and I'm beat regardless.
Well, let's hope that you get the key.
I got to find it. I don't know where it is. Yeah,
because Noah did that with Deutsch. He bought, whatever at like 1 cent. He bought like, whatever it was. Yeah. And now it's worth like $500 or something like that. Yeah. And he had like $12 into it, So he put $12 in. It's worth like $500 now. And at one point, it was up to like $800. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And
you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and he's like, "Should I take the money?" I'm like, at this point, you got $12 into it. Just let it ride.
Yeah, just let it ride, baby. Worst comes to worst.
What if it goes to $10 and now you
lost millions of dollars?
Yeah, $12 is good, worth $200,000.
That's crazy.
I mean, like just let it ride at this point, But yeah, I mean, obviously,
Trying to see if that's all for super chats. Alicia came back and said, can you do more vids on breeding and the rack setups?
Oh my gosh, it's so difficult because, that's where we get beat up the most is on the rack side of things. And as a matter of fact, I saw somebody post something a couple days ago that talked about, well, first off, so JP Reptiles, our buddy Jordan, posted a video that I will, and I'll always be honest with people. I think you guys know where I stand on feeding live. It was him dangling, or him holding a box of like 5 rats, and he let a ball python dangle out of a tub to grab a rat that it wanted, I guess, and I obviously think that's in horrible taste. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it's just horrible taste. And unfortunately, like, he got beat up pretty bad, and his responses kind of bothered me a little bit too, because his response was very arrogant, like, well, it's the life cycle. Sorry that it hurts you, and he was kind of like pretty, and I like Jordan, he's a good friend of mine and stuff like that, but it was very, like, his responses were very derogatory as well.
Snowflakey.
Yeah, like,
talk,
right?
Yeah,
like, put your panties on or something like that. And,
typical.
So, but anyway, so one of the guys that kind of beat him up posted, like, I don't agree with feeding. And I don't know if he was talking about just feeding snakes or feeding live.
I would assume live.
I hope that he didn't have a problem with feeding frozen, but maybe he does, because, it's weirdly enough, like Jay Brewer from Prehistorics won't feed snakes on his channels, because he says that people would beat him up for doing it, but yet he gets bit by giant snakes all the time. So like, it's a really weird, like, really, like, you think it's okay to get bit by big snakes, but you think that feeding is a bad thing.
I don't get that at all. I'm sorry.
It's a really weird thing.
I get the live part of not filming it because you don't need to do that.
No, the live part is really. But my point is that this guy said, I think that feeding is something we shouldn't show, and then us keeping snakes in racks we shouldn't show. And I don't know that I totally disagree with him on that. On one side of me, I'm torn, right? Because one side of me feels like, don't lie to people.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right? Because isn't that almost more like, if you get caught, now you're going to look like an asshole?
Yeah.
Versus if you make it like, hey, this isn't what you think it is. We're personifying the animals more than you should be.
Yeah, and even Kevin brought up, when I was talking to Kevin on the way back from my trip, he was saying that, he was telling me that he thought that I even had to be careful with me talking kind of negatively towards racks. You know how I've talked about that? Like I don't personally, I think that the future of our keeping will eventually get away from rack systems. I won't be against keeping snakes in racks.
Right.
But I don't like keeping, retics in racks, I've said. And Kevin felt that was like you got to be careful, Brian, because you're almost throwing us under the bus a little bit.
Yeah.
And I see what his point is. But so it's a tough thing, right? Because I see both sides of it. Like, I see what this one person said about, like, maybe we shouldn't show keeping snakes in racks. But at the other side, I see, well, I don't want to lie to people, like I'm not doing something that I'm actually doing. And but at the same time, I will say that we probably get more heat from non-reptile people anyways, about rack systems than anything else we do.
Yeah, of course.
Like people, we do take some heat from just the average consumer of our videos about, like, I can't believe those snakes are being kept in those cages.
And what people don't get is it's not a forever home. It's an apartment complex. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to live there forever. Most of them are going to go off to new places. Most of them,
but even our ball pythons, they do live in there forever and stuff like that. But ball pythons do well, and it's hard to do that. So it's a tough thing, like, what do you do? I don't really know the answer to it, So I guess the answer to the question about should I show more, it probably won't show more, but I don't want to show less either, right?
Yeah.
I think that we do what we do, and I think we do it ethically. Do I think we could do better? Potentially. And this is what I was talking about before, like, let's say the difference between, it's an interesting thing, like the difference between us keeping snakes in racks and, say, Emily from Snake Discovery keeping things in racks. She takes no heat and we take heat. The only difference is that she puts some plants in them, Which, and you're like, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, don't get me wrong. There might be some mental enrichment with the plant from them smelling it or
just moving around it. But is it the plant, or could it be a wooden stick that's a different shape? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. But again, it's that anthropomorphism that we're attaching a human emotion into an animal, and the snake may not care about that plant. You know what I mean? But from a visual standpoint, people are like, oh, well, at least it has a plant in there. You know, like that somehow makes the box okay or something like that. So it's a very listen. I don't know exactly where I sit on this. I'm conflicted as well, right?
And that's a good place to be, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a constant state of growth, is being like, always challenge your ideas. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, I think that if I didn't care and I was heartless, that would probably be a problem, right? Yeah. So if I'm not always questioning why we do things, the one thing I will say I find interesting is that, and this is something of, food for thought, is that, I've been doing this since, 1989 is when we started BHB as a company. And of course, that was when I started my company. I was doing it a few years before that as a hobby. And, there has been advancements in some of the technology that we've used, right? But we pretty much keep snakes the same way we've always kept snakes. You know what I mean?
You would think
you'd think after 30 years we might have came up with a better idea. And I find it's interesting that, like, say, ball python racks have actually gotten smaller.
Yeah.
Like the tubs have actually got, like, the new state of the art racks are actually smaller than the ones that were
around back then,
5 or 10 years ago. So it's a weird thing to me. Like, I'm surprised that there hasn't been some innovation that has maybe, and one of the things that's probably the most scary, to be honest with you, and Kevin and I talked about this the other day, is that, over in Europe and in many countries in Europe, there is regulations for size of cages. Like, if you have a ball python, it has to be X by X by X. If you have a carpet python, it has to be X by X by X. And it pretty much in a lot of these countries makes rack breeding impossible. Like, you can't breed in racks. And if that ever happened in the States, it would really change. This is what I've told people, keep this, keep this, mindset here, is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. And what I mean by that is you can't want people to keep ball pythons in 50-gallon tanks and then expect to pay the same price for the offspring of those animals. Or leopard geckos are probably a better example. You can't want to have to keep leopard geckos in a 20 long to breed them and then expect to pay $30 for a baby leopard gecko. Because it's going to cost you $60 to produce that leopard gecko in a 20-gallon, as opposed to keeping them in a group of 1.4 in a Rubbermaid rack or something, right? Yeah. So that's the one thing that's really difficult. It's like, yes, we could change the standard of how we keep our reptiles and breed our reptiles, but that's also going to change the economic side of keeping and breeding reptiles, and that means that Petco and PetSmart are no longer going to be able to keep them, which some people may think is a good thing, other people may not, but you're not going to be able to, you're going to price point yourself out of the normal pet trade, right? And that's going to then mean that less people keep reptiles, which means less people are interested in reptiles, which means more potential for laws to be passed because there's less people lobbying for them to keep reptiles, because there's, you see what I'm saying? It's a much more
intrinsic.
It's a much more complex discussion than, I think your snake should be kept in a bigger box. Yeah. And people don't think beyond that statement. They don't think the other ramifications. And then you start thinking like, all right, well, now there's going to be less leopard geckos produced, which means there's less bugs that need to be fed to leopard geckos, which means there's going to be less people employed in the bug factories, which means that, you see what I'm saying? Like, the trickle effect is pretty radical. BHB leaves less employees because we don't have as many animals, because the same amount of animals are being kept in the space.
Bigger blah, blah, so there's less animals here.
Yeah, less animals here, and on. And you start talking about lots of jobs lost, lots of loss in the reptile hobby, lots of entry-level animals that won't be sold, that will get people into the reptile hobby, that one day will maybe be making decisions that could save or harm the hobby. You see what I'm saying? It's a much more complex discussion than, I think your snake is kept in a tub and that's no good. You know?
I agree.
And listen, I'm all ears. As a matter of fact, if you remember pre-COVID, I was working on doing a rack summit where I wanted to have Clint from Clint Reptiles and Emily from Snake Discovery and Kevin from Nerd and myself and several other people on a panel where we would talk, on a live stream about this issue, and what we could do as an industry to self-regulate that not only continues to work on the commercial side, but also works on the ethical side. Yeah. And then of course COVID happened and it didn't happen, but maybe,
Such is life.
maybe one day that'll change.
LKB Python says most underrated recessive in ball pythons is. That's a hard one, man.
I still think tri-stripe is the most
underrated. I agree.
Because
that's the only one I can think of.
I think tri-stripes are really cool, and I think that it's not that people don't, think they're cool. It's just that you don't hear them in the conversation. You know what I mean?
Like, besides you, I never heard them before.
Yes, if it's sunsets or it's clowns or it's puzzles or whatever. These are things that get talked about all the time. But you don't hear tri-stripe really brought up much in the top 5 or 6 recessive mutations. Monsoons, obviously, and I think the tri-stripes should be given more
credit,
oomph,
some more oomph.
Yeah.
Simple Man says, hope you guys have a great night. Who do you think will win in Godzilla versus Kong? My money's on Godzilla. I agree.
Yeah, how can you bet against Godzilla?
You have 2 animals that are the same size, but one's got actual armor and the other one's fuzzy.
Yeah,
right?
and one can spit fire, and
swim underwater,
and have electrical impulses,
and come on,
and
reptile versus mammal. You ever see a snake versus a rat?
Yeah, Kong couldn't even beat a couple planes.
You know what I'm saying?
Empire State Building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some
you think you're gonna fuck up a giant lizard? Get out of here. We're Team Lizard all day, baby.
And it's kind of a tough thing, right? Because really, Kong and Godzilla, in a way, are hero monsters, right?
Yep.
They're both like trying to save people, so it's like it's hard to root against either one of them, really. But I do think Godzilla has the upper hand.
Dude, of course. Mm-hmm. Joe says, "I love you guys." He threw $50 for this too. I love you guys, and I have acquired 12 animals from you, and they're all doing amazing. Thank you for everything you do.
Well, Joe, thank you so much, not only for the support on the super chat, but obviously for buying animals from us. We really appreciate you, and
glad they're all doing great too.
That's awesome. Glad they're doing good. We love you're the type of people that we gush about in the office all the time about people repeat. But that's why we feel good, is that we want people to continue to have the type of experience they have with BHB to where they want to come back and buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 animals and continue to support, because that's what we strive for. So thank you so much, Joe. Seriously.
Interesting question. Stephanie says, are your older females less protective of their eggs because they get used to you collecting them, or is it an instinct that never goes away?
Yeah, it's really an instinct that never goes away. And it's also an individual thing too, right? Like, think about it this way. It's analogous to frozen thawed feeders. No matter how long you feed frozen thawed to an animal, most of them will still coil it like they want to kill kill an animal, even though it's frozen thawed and it's not live. It's the exact same thing. And because you're only pulling, really in most cases, you're going to pull 10 to 20 clutches of that in their entire life. Right. So it's not like you're doing it so frequently that they somehow learn, because it's only once a year, and colubrids twice a year, and their colubrids aren't as protective of their eggs. So I would say it's rare to have. Every now and then we have a female ball python, or any snake for that matter, that we just had it happen, where they lay a clutch and they just crawl away from it.
Yeah.
And every now and then you have a ball python or another python that is coiled around a clutch of eggs and will very easily let you take their eggs. And then sometimes they just always want to try to crush you.
Yeah, which is my favorite.
So it's certainly but
individual to each.
But
right?
But I don't think that as a whole they don't get over it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Blue Salad says, thank you. You clued me in that I could get away with brumating my garter snake at 53 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 45 to 53, like I was seeing in my other research. It made my life a lot easier. She's crushing food and looking chunky.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe 45 to 50 degrees is more ideal, more reminiscent of what they're going to see in the wild, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it warmer with the same success, So really the female just needs a sense of dormancy to trigger follicular growth. The male needs a reduction of temperature to have spermatogenesis, but that reduction doesn't have to be 45 or 50 degrees. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, I know a bunch of people that breed hognose and a bunch of other snakes that don't cool at all, zero, none. Zero. So yeah, it's just really an individual thing, and it's what it is. Like we normally used to go down to about 50 degrees where we are hibernating or brumating. Now we can't get it much below 60 degrees.
Yeah.
It's about 60 degrees was where we're at, and I'm sure we'll have just as successful of a year as we had last year.
A Squad Gaming said, thank you, Brian, for everything you do. Your videos are helping me with my female ball python.
Oh, good. Well, we appreciate it. And obviously, anytime we can help, reach out to us. We're here for you.
And then Pat Greiser says, hey, Brian, with your expansion of the Reptarium, have you took into consideration people with disabilities for VIP room and 3.0?
Well, VIP room, no. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. That it just, that's a very select group of people that are going to be able, a very small number. So it's impossible to put in a lift or something like that. Yeah. When it comes to 3.0, absolutely. There'll be handicap accessibility. There'll be an elevator, the whole shot. Yes. So yes, 100% on that side. Unfortunately, on the VIP, that's just not going to be something that's going to be, it just can't, I mean, it wasn't
something we built in, we didn't think of when this building was made.
Yeah. Here, and it's not open to the public. You know what I mean? Like, so by law, we have to, if something is open to the public, it has to be handicap accessible. This isn't open, the podcast area isn't open to the public. Yep. It's a private, thing. Yeah. And basically what happened is, I mean, we're talking about charging $300 for an evening. It would cost us $10,000 to put in a
exactly.
lift. And so it would be pretty hard to make up that money.
To put in a lift
for 3 people a weekend,
and I mean, to think about, the amount of people that would need to use it would be
maybe once a year. Yeah, maybe once a year somebody would actually need to do it. So I mean, it's something that, don't get me wrong, I'm very cognizant of and very aware of, and we do everything we can to accommodate. As a matter of fact, we're right now in the process of putting in a permanent ramp, to get in. We do have a mobile ramp that we put in when needed. When you're actually in the building, everything's handicap accessible. We have a bathroom that has rails in it, the whole shot. But we're literally putting in a permanent ramp outside, and it's just literally an 8-inch lip. That for now, when someone with a wheelchair or something like that, we have to bring out a portable one, but we're putting in a permanent one just because we're so aware of the importance of that. But with the VIP, it's just not doable.
V-Dog says, thanking you for taking the time to talk to us today. The vlog today was amazing and can't wait to continue seeing the great things you do.
Well, thank you so much, V-Dog. And like I said, I'm excited. I think, I don't know where we're at. Again, you're starting to see a little bit of an iteration of where we're changing. I think that in a couple days, you're going to see some, Jay and I even haven't seen what we're starting to film now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is just a little bit different pace.
Yeah, like I edited. Yeah, what you got the feeding video today, right?
Yeah, feeding video is today.
Is that going out tomorrow?
That goes out tomorrow.
Okay.
I
think so I think it's like,
no, it actually goes out. I don't even know. I think it goes out.
I don't know what's going on.
I think the feeding video goes out tomorrow. Yeah, it goes out tomorrow.
Yeah, because I thought that was the thumbnail I was making tonight.
Yep.
But yeah, so like, I think that was like the kind of the beginning, but we still didn't like fully do it yet because it was mostly a feeding video.
Yeah. Definitely didn't do the pace that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, so I think
I'm trying to think. Is it
the
after
first
the
one?
Feeding one?
Yeah, actually, the first one would be like that's fully the new vibe is going to be when we got the Savu eggs.
Right, exactly. Which is that the next one?
No, there's still
a couple.
Two more before that. I think.
So it'll be a few more days before you guys see like a newer style.
I think you guys will like it.
I hope you will. Yeah. I think it'll keep your attention a little bit better.
Yeah, in the TikTok world, that's important, right?
Yes, it is.
Matt says
you guys
first
have attentions like the fucking gnat.
Oh, dude, it's bad. It's bad, dude. And I've even noticed it with myself recently. So. Yeah. But Matt says, first live Snake Talk, longtime fan. You guys rock.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome.
Thanks,
I hope that you enjoyed it, and I always appreciate everyone watching and hanging out with me. It still amazes me that you guys care.
It is nuts, and I mean, it gives us a time to have like a little therapy and just chill and talk.
No, it is
relax.
Nice. Yeah, and just get a lot of things off my mind.
Our buddy Josh Fenelon, the brownie master.
Oh boy,
he says, "Hey Brian,
can't almost killed half my crew,
dude. It was wonderful. You've ruined me on edibles forever." It says, "Hey Brian, can't believe it's been a year today since 2.0 grand opening and VIP party. We got to make it out again soon. Miss everyone. We miss you too."
Yeah, Josh, it was crazy. I know you were here for that.
Yeah, we had a blast.
It was wild. I mean, it was. I think about that. It
was so sick.
We had
dude.
Hundreds of people.
That was one of the best days, like a couple days of my life ever.
Yeah, it was
so
great. I mean,
fun.
Friday and Saturday were really, really fun because we had Saturday we had. Tours and events, booked solid, like from 9 in the morning till when we opened at 4. We opened at 4 to 9. crushed with people. Again, you got to remember, not only did we have all the people that were coming in for the Reptarium, but then Tinley Park
got canceled.
So you had tons of people driving from Tinley Park over to the Reptarium. So we had a bunch of reptile folk that I love to death come over, and they were here. So Friday so we were open, again, tours from 9 in the morning till 4. Then 4 we opened, and then at 9 we had a VIP party till midnight, right? It was midnight, right?
Yeah,
midnight. So each day, Friday and Saturday. So we had literally from 9 in the morning till midnight packed. I mean, just packed with things to do. And we had, I mean, literally, I bet you at the peak Friday and Saturday, we had probably 400, 450 people in the building.
Oh my God, it was nuts.
It was crushed with people. And we were high-fiving, hugging, kissing, you name it, having babies in the back room.
Don't talk about that. We said we weren't supposed to talk about that on the live stream.
Yeah, but it was wild. And then, Saturday started to get a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie to you. Still, everyone was like, whatever, But I remember, like, Miguel and a few of my other friends, like, we're going to be here till Monday, and, like, flew out Saturday night because they were, like, panicking. Like, what if they shut down the airlines, I remember, like, Friday night, a year ago today, here in Michigan, they shut all the bars and restaurants. But everything else was still open. And then Saturday, there were whispers of, like, more stuff closing. A bunch of people were freaking. But then Sunday, we were, again, booked out for tours, but then we were open 3 to 9. We did not have a VIP party after that, not because of COVID, but just because we were done at 3 to 8 actually.
Yeah.
So when we were shut at 8 was like, all right, we're done for the night, and then we then it was that Monday. Well, what was interesting was that Monday, I gathered the crew together, and I said, I think it's in our best interest, because at this point it started to look pretty serious. They were already talking about pandemic and all this other stuff. And I gathered my crew together and said, hey, I think we're going to go ahead and shut down for a couple weeks. And then that afternoon, the governor came and shut everybody down. So like I had made the decision prior to the governor shutting it down, and then we shut it down, and then we had no choice. But Jay and I were just talking this morning. We really thought, even when the governor shut down, they said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we really thought 2 weeks, and 2 weeks turned into almost 4 months.
That can't be more than 2 months, right?
Yeah,
5 months.
It went almost
a year.
Yeah, it went almost 4 months of shut down, and then now here we are a year later, and we're still. We're really worse off than we were a year ago as far as the pandemic goes. But obviously things are starting to open up again, and hopefully, God willing, we'll be
there soon.
We'll be 100%, back here, before we know it.
Matt says 3.0 fund. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're going to need it. Trust me. It's going to be expensive, man. It's going to be expensive, man.
Pat came back to say pretty much like she was curious, so nobody that was disabled could come. If you can't make it downstairs, you probably can't do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, for the VIP thing, unfortunately.
Everything else,
if
fine.
You can make it downstairs, you can do
and
whatever you want.
I got a shoulder to lean on,
Yeah,
baby.
we'll help you down the stairs, but unfortunately, there. I can't put $10,000 into getting
3 people
a year down the stairs. I'm sorry. I know that sounds crude, but that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Blue Salad said you had to open on Friday the 13th, didn't you? Yes.
I've told people this all the time, that I think it was our fault that the world changed the way it did, because we decided to open on Friday the 13th. We joked about it. In advance.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, we joked about it in advance. Like, I can't believe we're going to open on Friday the 13th. And what's the worst that can happen? And here we are a year later going, well, now I think we know. Now I think we know what
Turns
can happen.
out we're never doing that again.
Yeah, I think I will never open up anything again on Friday the 13th. So, that was a rude awakening.
And that's it, brother.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys, I appreciate all your chats today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate all your support and everything. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Obviously, I think there's going to be some news about some things.
Rather soon, right?
Rather soon. There's really like 3 pretty major things that are getting close to me being able to talk about that I'm excited about. They're very excited about. So yeah, so stay tuned. There's going to be some things coming, and I hate keeping things from you guys, and I mean, there's probably like 12 things that I'm not talking about.
And to be honest, that you'd probably know 9 or 10 of them if it wasn't for us telling Brian, like, dude, you can't say it yet because he wants to tell you. I
want to talk about my ideas. I want to talk about the process. I love you guys to be a part of it, but unfortunately, the mouth's shut for the moment.
Yeah, shut it.
But it's like I said, I think. I don't know if by next week, but probably by the following week, I'll be able to talk about 1 or 2 things that I'm excited about that I can't wait to launch. So hang in there with me. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on Wednesday. I know we missed last Wednesday. We will be back this Wednesday with the fam, checking in, of course, for Fridays with Noah, and back here on Snake Talk on Saturday night. So appreciate you guys. Love you, and I will see you soon. Have a good night, guys. Bye. See ya.